Chapter 259. After all, eldest brother's temper was unpredictable to begin with. Qin Yu and Qin Lang only left reluctantly after greeting Bei Yunj. On the other hand, Bei Yunj leaned against the wall and knocked on the wall in boredom. "You haven't left yet?" Lu Yuanci was a little surprised. "My brother is having a private conversation inside." Bei Yunj glanced at him. "Why didn't your parents come?" "My parents are overseas. The old madam has something on today, so she didn't come." Hearing this, Bei Yunj nodded. "Then you should go back early. The person inside isn't your biological brother, right?" Lu Yuanci suddenly asked. Bei Yunj did not intend to hide it. Lu Yuanci's eyes darkened and no one knew what he was thinking. "All right, then you should go back early. I'll get going first." "Okay, bye." Bei Yunj waved. Hua Shidu went in for about half an hour before the door opened. The moment Bei Yunj saw Hua Shidu come out, she felt an inexplicable sense of guilt. "Let's go. I'll take you to eat. Auntie Miao isn't around today." "Let's go to the restaurant," Hua Shidu said. "Okay." Bei Yunj followed Hua Shidu all the way until she got into the car and fastened her seatbelt. She asked calmly, "Brother, why aren't you saying anything?" The man said slowly, "It's brother's first time coming to school to be scolded. I haven't thought of what to say yet." Through the rearview mirror, Hua Shidu saw Bei Yunj's expression and his thin red lips curled up. Teacher Wen said that Yun Yun is very smart, but she doesn't like to study. "Yun Yun, tell brother why you don't want to study? Is it because of the Qin family?" Bei Yunj: "No." "Then is it because of brother?" Bei Yunj's answer was even faster. "No." Hearing this, Hua Shidu chuckled softly again and glanced at the girl beside him lightly. He dragged out his voice. "Then do you have to make brother unhappy?" Bei Yunj. Seeing that the girl had fallen silent, Hua Shidu suddenly said casually, "Yun Yun." Bei Yunj looked up at him. Hua Shidu added, "Open the drawer in front of you." Bei Yunj did not hesitate. She turned around and opened the drawer. She found that it was filled with a lot of candy. "It's okay if you don't do well. Brother will teach you well." Bei Yunj glanced sideways and saw the man's superior jawline and handsome and noble eyes. His magnetic and lazy chuckle tickled her eardrums. "I was just teasing you just now. How can I bully our Yun Yun like this?" Bei Yunj's heart beat faster for some reason. She took a piece of candy and peeled it with her eyes lowered. "Brother, do you want some?" "It's for you." Big brother doesn't eat anything too sweet. At night, Qin family's old residence. 6 people were seated at the round table. "Lu Yan, you're finally back. I haven't seen you for a long time. Have you lost weight?" Mrs. Qin was very happy tonight. The people he wanted to see were all there, and the people he didn't want to see weren't there. "No." Qin Luyan's tone was calm as he said, "Mom, I've prepared a few boxes of pearls and diamonds for you. Didn't you want the designer to design them for you last time?" "Did you hear that? Lu Yan is much more filial than the 2 of you." Mrs. Qin was overjoyed. "Second brother, third brother, and dad, I've prepared them too. The assistant will bring them over later." Qin Luyan slowly cut the steak and took a sip of red wine. "Big brother, what about me?" Qin Yu pouted coquettishly, thinking that Qin Luyan wanted to give her a surprise. Chapter 260. "Of course you have one too." Qin Luyan glanced at her and suddenly smirked. "What did big brother prepare for me?" Qin Youjiao was excited. Ever since Bei Yunj came out of the mental hospital, second brother, third brother and the rest had never prepared a gift for her. "I prepared a household registration certificate for you." Qin Luyan's slow words made Qin Youjiao's face pale. The knife and fork in Mrs. Qin's hand also fell to the ground. Then she quickly stood up. "Lu Yan, what nonsense are you talking about?" At this moment, Qin Yu and Qin Lang sat quietly, looking at Qin Luyan in admiration. As expected of big brother. "Mom, your daughter can have someone else, but the elder young miss of the Qin family can only be Bei Yunj." Qin Luyan put down the red wine glass and wiped his thin lips. However, this refined and elegant appearance made people's hair stand on end. Within moments, Qin Luyan took the household registration certificate from the side and put on his gold-rimmed glasses. The man was still refined and handsome. His tone was neither fast nor slow, but it was a little unreasonable. After tonight, Miss Qin Youjiao will move out of the Qin family. Qin Luyan, how dare you? Mrs. Qin's voice became shrill as she roared angrily. That's not right either. Qin Luyan ignored Mrs. Qin and said with a smile. The name Qin Youjiao was prepared for Gu'er. Although Gu'er doesn't need it anymore, it shouldn't be yours. Big brother, you. Qin Youjiao's face paled and she immediately went forward to pull Qin Luyan. Her entire body was trembling as she said with a sobbing tone, Big brother, why did you become like this too? But I didn't do anything. Why are you chasing me away? I can give you the name, but this surname must be changed back, Miss Zhang. Qin Luyan's last 3 words almost made Qin Youjiao's face turn pale. Back then, when Bei Yunj was found, the Qin family had also found her biological father, who was the director of the mental hospital. However, Qin Youjiao despised her biological father for opening a mental hospital and doing illegal things, so she had always been reluctant to go home. In fact, after her biological father was cut by Bei Yunj, Qin Youjiao had never thought of going back to take a look. Big brother, don't do this. Qin Youjiao's makeup was ruined from crying and she was out of breath. I don't want to go back. Can you not make me go back? I will never go against Bei Yunj again. Please. Qin Luyan flung Qin Youjiao's hand away and said coldly, Tomorrow morning, everyone will know that Bei Yunj is the only eldest young miss of the Qin family. In his previous life, he had also thought of doting on this little sister of his. But who would have thought that when his leg was broken by that woman back then, Qin Youjiao would run over eagerly and become that woman's good friend. She even helped that woman and forced him to marry her. He wanted him to marry a woman who had ruined the Qin family. What a joke. Qin Luyan restrained the coldness and hostility in his eyes and the indifference in his eyes returned to normal. But now, everything could be redone. Then, what he wanted to do was to protect Gu'er and the Qin family. Luyan, don't go overboard. Father Qin said in a deep voice. Although he wanted Gu'er to come back, he did not want Jiao Jiao to leave either. After leaving the Qin family, Jiao Jiao would definitely suffer a lot. Dad, Mom, I've already bought a manor for the 2 of you in our nation. If you want to go, I'll get someone to send you there tomorrow. Chapter 261. Hearing this, even Qin Yu and Qin Lang sucked in a breath of cold air. What was eldest brother doing? Forcing her to abdicate. If Mr. and Mrs. Qin did not let Qin Youjiao leave, he would send these 2 people overseas directly. This was too ruthless. He was indeed the man who Grandpa had said was the most capable of inheriting the family business. Seeing this, Qin Yu and Qin Lang felt a refreshing wind blow from their tailbones to the back of their heads. They felt refreshed. It was a pity that they could not record this exciting scene. Qin Luyan, what do you mean? Are you going against the heavens? Mrs. Qin looked at him in disbelief. Qin Luyan did not have much emotion. He had probably guessed that Mrs. Qin would be like this. He chuckled. If you say so, then so be it. Luyan, there are some things that you have to think carefully. Is what you're doing really right? Mr. Qin said in a low voice. Dad, don't worry. I will never regret what I've done in this life. Qin Luyan smirked at him. Then, the father and son looked at each other. One had a complicated gaze while the other was calm. The night was rainy. Qin Luyan looked at the girl in front of him. She was crying so hard that she could not breathe, but there was no pity in his eyes. I've already gotten someone to change your school record. From now on, you have nothing to do with our Qin family. Eldest brother, I'm begging you. Can you not chase me away? I'm not the eldest young miss of the Qin family. Please let me stay, okay? Qin Youjiao grabbed Qin Luyan's hand and begged. She was drenched and looked disheveled, her eyes filled with tears. However, looking at this scene, Qin Luyan chuckled. This scene was too familiar. In his previous life, when Gur was seriously ill, he had also climbed down from the wheelchair on this rainy day and knelt down to beg this woman, hoping that she could give some medical fees to save Gur. But in the end, she broke that bank card in front of him. She leaned in front of him and smiled. Eldest brother, even if you're not my eldest brother now, I won't give it to anyone else even if I'm ruined. Do you understand? Qin Luyan lifted her chin, but his black eyes were filled with coldness. His smiling voice made one shiver. Qin Youjiao, I didn't kill you because I had my reservations. Is that clear? After saying this, Qin Youjiao looked into Qin Luyan's cold eyes and the coldness spread to her bones unconsciously. She shuddered. Big Brother had never looked at her like that before. Such a big brother was too terrifying. The next day, another explosive piece of news came from the Qin clan, shocking everyone. Qin Youjiao, who was doted on by the Qin family, was actually not Mr. Qin and Mrs. Qin's biological daughter. Instead, he had been swapped with someone else back then. That was why Qin Youjiao had been occupying her place for so many years. She enjoyed all the rights that belonged to Bei Yunj. When this news came out, many people thought it was fake news. However, they soon realized that the person who had sent the application was the Qin Corporation. If that was the case, then wasn't Qin Youjiao's condescending Bei Yunj too disgusting? She ate someone else's food, used someone else's things, and even took over someone else's parents and brother for almost 20 years. She actually had the cheek to pretend to be aggrieved. What kind of pretentious white lotus was this? However, what was even more confusing was Mrs. Qin's statement of severing ties back then. What was wrong with doting on a fake daughter and abandoning her biological daughter? Chapter 262. Perhaps because the news this time was too sensational, the popularity of the topic remained high. It was at the top of the list for the entire day. The netizens were also discussing. What is the Qin family doing? It's all about their family every day. It can't be, it can't be, it can't be, our beloved little Princess Qin is actually a fake daughter, heartbroken. Then didn't that little celebrity who was so arrogant and said that she was Qin Youjiao's best friend suffer a huge loss? She offended the real young lady. Isn't this her fate of being frozen? Someone in the industry exposed that the company Qin Youjiao is in can't do it anymore. It will definitely go bankrupt in 3 months. This comment is proof. No wonder the Qin brothers are so protective of Bei Yunj. How can they not protect their biological sister? The real young lady's life is really good. She's not in the Qin family and is still Director Lin's daughter. Even if she's not their biological daughter, she's still a daughter they've raised for almost 20 years. The Qin family is too tasteless. Arrange it for me. I want the analysis upstairs. Contrarian Research Institute. Because of this incident, more than half of Qin Youjiao's fans had left. After all, Qin Youjiao had become popular because of her fair and rich beauty. But now, the Qin family had personally criticized her for not being the Qin family's eldest young lady. So many fans could not accept it. Especially the storm of Qin Youjiao mentioning Bei Yunj in the livestream. This was not over yet. The next day, this matter was also spreading like wildfire in Hongda High School. Even the girls who usually played well with Qin Youjiao started to talk bad about her. Even Ling Jiwei, who was in the same class as Bei Yunj, did not look too good. She never thought that Bei Yunj was the real eldest young lady of the Qin family and Qin Youjiao was actually an imposter? All these years, she was actually trying to please a fake young lady of the Qin family. There were many people who had the same thoughts as Ling Jiwei. However, because of this matter, many people gradually understood that Bei Yunj was really not to be offended. Master Pei, let's go to the canteen for lunch. Chu Zhixing lost weight very quickly. This was probably because Lu Yuanci often dragged him to play basketball with him. One could vaguely see the heroic spirit in his eyes. All right. Bei Yunj was not in a good mood. She went to the cafeteria with Chu Zhixing and Lu Yuanci. But what he didn't expect was, at this time, someone actually came to find trouble with her. Cheng Zihuai held Qin Youjiao's hand and walked in front of her with a dark expression. Bei Yunj, you should have some self-awareness. Even if you are the eldest daughter of the Qin family, no one will think that you are very powerful. Cheng Zihuai sneered. You were just born into a good family. Other than that, how can you compare to Jiao Jiao? Bei Yunj's appetite, which was already not very good at noon, became even worse. She suddenly laughed, her eyes bright and flamboyant. Bei Yunj looked up slowly, a cold glint flashing in his eyes. He patiently said playfully, Student Cheng, can you get lost? As soon as he finished speaking, everyone present couldn't help but gasp. Cheng Zihuai was the most handsome boy in Hongda and also the most outstanding senior in the 3rd year of high school. Even Lu Yuanci had never spoken to Cheng Zihuai like this before. Bei Yunj, you. Cheng Zihuai's expression darkened. Cheng Zihuai, as a man, are you looking for trouble with girls whenever you have problems? Lu Yuanci interrupted. Cheng Zihuai's eyes swept over Lu Yuanci coldly before they landed on Bei Yunj. He laughed coldly. No wonder you're so powerful. So you found a helper. Chapter 263. With that said, he glanced at everyone again, as if what he said to Bei Yunj just now was also said to everyone. Qin Youjiao is my fiancé. This matter has been decided a long time ago. I also want to know who wants to go against the Cheng family. With that said, the thoughts of many people who wanted to ridicule Qin Youjiao immediately dissipated. They almost forgot that Qin Youjiao and Cheng Zihuai had such a good relationship. Even if she wasn't the Qin family's young lady, she would still be the young madam of the Cheng family in the future. Indeed, they could not offend her. However, at this moment, Bei Yunj suddenly laughed and stood up slowly. This scene made Lu Yuanci's eyelid twitch and he had a bad feeling. Yunj you! Before Lu Yuanci could finish speaking, he saw Bei Yunj walking in front of Cheng Zihuai slowly. Bei Yunj, what else do you have to pretend for? Cheng Zihuai snorted disdainfully. Haven't you always been jealous of Jiao Jiao and think that Jiao Jiao stole something from you? Why don't you see if you're worthy of being with Jiajia? Before he could finish speaking, before everyone could react, they saw Cheng Zihuai being thrown over his shoulder by Bei Yunj. Why are you so arrogant in front of me? Bei Yunj's beautiful and charming eyes were filled with uncontrollable ruthlessness as she spoke with a smile. At this moment, the scalps of those who saw this turned numb. Fortunately, they did not go and provoke Bei Yunj back then. He had actually dealt with Cheng Zihuai in front of so many people. Big boss. She was really a big boss. Not to mention the others, even Lu Yuanci, who was sitting not far away, dropped his chopsticks in shock. Lu Yuanci was perplexed. Why was his deskmate so wild? Suddenly, Cheng Zihuai's furious voice sounded. Bei Yunj! He was actually beaten up by a girl in front of so many people in school. This girl was Bei Yunj. Without giving him a chance to stand up, Bei Yunj stepped on Cheng Zihuai's chest ruthlessly and rubbed it carelessly. Cheng Zihuai's face turned pale from the pain and he almost shouted out loud. Her bright eyes were full of impudence as she laughed again. To be honest, I've wanted to do this for a long time, student Cheng. If it weren't for the parent-teacher conference yesterday, she would have smashed the chair on Cheng Zihuai's head. At this moment, seeing this, Qin Youjiao's legs still turned weak. She did not expect Bei Yunj to hit her. This woman even dared to teach Cheng Zihuai a lesson, let alone her. So don't look for trouble with me for no reason. Bei Yunj's red lips curled into a smile. She bent down slightly, but the smile did not reach her eyes. Otherwise, I'll be stepping on your head next time. After that, just as Cheng Zihuai felt that his bones were about to break, Bei Yunj suddenly lifted her leg. She turned to pick up her plate and asked lazily, "Are you guys going to continue eating?" Chu Zhixing and Lu Yuanci reacted and shook their heads frantically. If he didn't leave now and the teacher on duty saw him, this ancestor would enter the principal's office again. After Bei Yunj left, Cheng Zihuai's expression was terrible and the people around him did not dare to look at him. "Zihuai, are you okay?" Qin Youjiao went forward and asked with concern. Cheng Zihuai did not care that Qin Youjiao had watched him being taught a lesson just now. After all, Qin Youjiao was just an ordinary girl. She was probably shocked as well. I'll make her pay the price sooner or later. Cheng Zihuai's face was almost livid as he gritted his teeth and said this. Master Pei, isn't your temper too bad today? Chapter 264. Lu Yuanci could not help teasing. At this moment, he could not help but remember the first time he met Bei Yunj. It seemed like Bei Yunj had saved him some face back then. Otherwise, if he was beaten up in the canteen, he would probably be depressed for a week. Really? Bei Yunj raised an eyebrow. Lu Yuanci immediately said honestly, "This morning when I saw you sitting, I didn't even dare to ask you to move when I got into my seat." This morning, even the corners of Bei Yunj's eyes were slightly cold and the atmosphere was inexplicably low. Unfortunately, Cheng Zihuai's eyes were on his head and he still threw himself at the gun. Bei Yunj was speechless. She did not notice this. This morning, when she heard Hu Shidu say that she would go to his office to do her homework from Friday to Sunday, she was a little resistant. However, she did not expect even Lu Yuanci to notice it. Bei Yunj recalled that when that man sent her to school this morning, he had even scratched her chin and smiled seductively. Why are you so happy to do your homework in brother's office? Why are your ears red? Bei Yunj was speechless. This man was indeed lying to her. After school, Qin Youjiao had just left when she heard a voice beside her. Jiao Jiao. Qin Youjiao looked up instinctively. When she saw Mrs. Qin, she immediately ran over and hugged her, crying uncontrollably. Mom, are you the only one who still wants me at home? Qin Youjiao choked. It's not convenient for your father to come over either. After all, your older brother. Mrs. Qin's expression did not look too good either. She did not expect Qin Luyan to be so ruthless the moment he returned. Mom, then can't I go home in the future? Qin Youjiao was really afraid that she would return to her original family. Jiao Jiao, don't be afraid. Mom is here. I won't let anyone bully you. With that said, Mrs. Qin took out a key and a bank card. This is the residence your father bought previously. Jiao Jiao, you can stay there. Although Mom can't accompany you, I won't let Jiao Jiao suffer. And this card has 6 million yuan. You can't move too much for the time being. I'm afraid your older brother will find out. Hearing this, Qin Youjiao hated Bei Yunj even more. Why did Bei Yunj come back? Why did she have to lose everything she had for so many years? Mom, do I have to live outside in the future? Qin Youjiao's eyes reddened. It was only now that Mrs. Qin realized that Qin Luyan was the most similar to Old Master Qin. In the past, Old Master Qin refused to let Qin Youjiao stay in the old manor. Now, Qin Luyan refused to let Qin Youjiao go home. Everyone was comparing Jiao Jiao to a dead end. Mrs. Qin caressed Qin Youjiao lovingly as a dark look flashed past her eyes. Jiao Jiao, as long as you become more outstanding, Mom will have a way to make you come back. Besides, I've already talked to Madame Cheng about your engagement with Zihuai. The Cheng family will not allow their daughter-in-law to not have a beautiful background. When she heard that, a dark glint flashed through Qin Youjiao's eyes as she relaxed slightly. As long as Mother Qin didn't give up on her, she still had a chance to go back. Bei Yunj. She didn't believe that she couldn't drag this trash down. Hua Corporation. In the CEO's office, Bei Yunj saw a small figure sitting obediently on the sofa. Momo. Momo looked up and her eyes lit up when she saw Bei Yunj. Sister. Momo put down her pen and ran over to hug Bei Yunj's thigh, saying in a childish voice, Sister, are you here to do your homework too? Chapter 265. Bei Yunj's eyelids twitched. She glanced at the man who was working and led Momo to the sofa. The two of them, one big and one small, sat at the coffee table. Each of them had a bottle of milk, a homework book, and a pen. The scene was inexplicably adorable. However, Hua Shidu seemed to be very busy today and did not look up at them. After a while, Momo asked softly, Sister, when Grandma and I went to Brother's house last time, were you hiding in Brother's closet? Bei Yunj's fingers paused. Yes. Was Sister playing hide and seek? Then where was Brother hiding? Momo was even more curious. Sister forgot. Bei Yunj's eyes curved and she quickly changed the topic. Momo, why are you here to do your homework today? Because Grandma went out to play. Momo and Alas have to stay at Brother's place for the night. Momo was initially unwilling, but when he thought about how Bei Yunj was staying at Huashidu's place, he quickly agreed. I see. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows. Suddenly, not far away, the man's casual voice sounded. Momo, if you continue to affect your sister's studies, Alas will have to stay on the streets. Bei Yunj. Momo immediately covered his mouth and looked at Huashidu accusingly. Brother was not talking to him, and he was not letting him talk to sister. Momo was unhappy, but he did not dare to disobey his brother. He could only puff up his cheeks angrily. In the evening, Bei Yunj took advantage of the time when Huashidu was in a meeting to take out her iPad when her phone suddenly rang. She glanced at the caller ID and saw that it was Yu Manran calling. She quickly picked it up. What's wrong? As soon as Bei Yunj finished speaking, she heard loud music on the other end of the phone, mixed with a woman's excited scream. Yu Manran was at a bar. Come to Muse. Yu Manran was a little excited. Bei Yunj quietly turned on her iPad and continued to browse through the documents. She said lazily, "Spare me, I just finished a parent-teacher conference." Before she could finish her sentence, Bei Yunj suddenly heard an ear-piercing scream. It seemed that something had happened. "You man ran?" Bei Yunj was just about to ask when the phone was hung up. What was going on? Bei Yunj frowned and tapped the coffee table twice with his fingertips. He was still worried that something would happen to You Man Ran. "Momo, when Big Brother comes back later, help me pass a message. Tell him that Big Sister went to find a friend, okay?" Bei Yunj looked at Momo. "Okay, sister, be careful," Momo replied. She cupped her cheeks in boredom, looking dazed and cute. Bei Yunj couldn't help but smile and kiss Momo before leaving. Muse. Big sister man, calm down. How are you going to explain later if you trick that ancestor into coming here? The manager's head was about to explode. How could there be such a difficult artist to manage? You Man Ran burped. He was completely drunk, but his eyes were very fierce. "No. I asked Guer to come here to avenge me." The manager looked at the table full of money that You Man Ran had lost and couldn't help but twitch his eyelids. "Ha! Make sure that ancestor doesn't come here to take your life first, okay?" After finding out that Bei Yunj was the real daughter of the Qin family, the manager was even more certain that Bei Yunj was not someone to be trifled with. In the end, You Man Ran was like an idiot. He lost a game of cards and insisted on getting Bei Yunj to come here. Wasn't he afraid that Bei Yunj would come here to beat him up instead of playing cards? Chapter 266. You Man Ran burped again and walked unsteadily to the card table. "Sister man, it's just a game of cards. You don't have to go that far." The rich second-generation heirs who had known You Man Ran for a long time were at a loss for words. Who knew that You Man Ran would be so stubborn when he was drunk and insist on winning? How long had he been dragging them into this game? Wait for my Guer to come. We will definitely win back our losses," You Man Ran said as he burped. He looked drunk. This made the rich second-generation heirs a little interested in Bei Yunj. Who was You Man Ran? She was a famous arrogant lady in the entertainment circle. How could she be so obedient? However, half an hour later, Bei Yunj arrived. When she saw the drunk You Man Ran sitting at the card table, the corners of her eyes couldn't help but twitch. She had thought that something had happened to this person. You Man Ran. Suddenly, a clear and melodious voice sounded. This leisurely tone inexplicably made the manager shudder. However, You Man Ran was completely unaware. The moment he heard Bei Yunj's voice, he pounced forward and hugged Bei Yunj. "Guer, save me." Bei Yunj's eyelids twitched. She pried You Man Ran open little by little and asked lazily, "What's wrong?" At this moment, several rich second-generation heirs who were playing cards saw Bei Yunj's face clearly and a trace of surprise flashed past their eyes. Which family did this lady come from? She was so beautiful that she was eye-catching. Not long after, Bei Yunj realized that when You Man Ran said save her, he meant save her table's luck. A few minutes later, Bei Yunj sat on You Man Ran's seat and leisurely won back what You Man Ran had lost. The three rich second-generation heirs lost so badly that they started to doubt their lives. Where did You Man Ran find this person? Wasn't this too cruel? After winning everything back, Bei Yunj quickly stood up and said, "Okay, I still have something to do. I have to go back." Guer, why don't you play for a while more?" You Man Ran held onto Bei Yunj's arm and said coquettishly. "No." Bei Yunj glanced at her and couldn't be bothered to argue with the drunkard. However, when You Man Ran heard this, he suddenly whispered, "Guer, don't tell me you're in love?" Bei Yunj paused for a moment and looked at her leisurely. "What nonsense are you talking about?" "I'm not spouting nonsense. Something must have happened if you're in such a hurry to go back." After You Man Ran finished speaking, a glint flashed across her eyes. She chuckled inexplicably and moved closer to Bei Yunj's ear. "Why don't you try it secretly next time?" There was an ambiguous meaning in his words. Bei Yunj quickly understood what You Man Ran was implying. "What do you want me to try?" You Man Ran said, "The easiest ways to test your feelings are holding hands, kissing, and making love." After speaking, You Man Ran smiled meaningfully. "Forget about the last one. Guer is still so young. It looks like you've really drunk too much." Bei Yunj looked at her and laughed leisurely again. Yu Manran, who had drunk too much, was indeed bold. Her instincts told her that something must have happened to Bei Yunj. Hence, Yu Manran used all kinds of methods to make Bei Yunj continue to play cards a few more times. He wanted to see if Bei Yunj, who was in a relationship with Bei Yunj, would take the initiative to look for Bei Yunj. But to Bei Yunj, this card game was just like the homework she had done in the office just now. There was nothing that could pique her interest. But perhaps it was because of what Yu Manran had said just now that she suddenly remembered the scene in the closet with Wuxia. She couldn't tell if she was nervous at that time or if her heart was really beating faster. Chapter 267. At this moment, Wuxia had just finished his meeting when he realized that the little one was missing. "Where's your sister?" Wuxia squatted on one knee and looked at him, held his cheeks with both hands and tilted his head. His homework was placed far away. Sister went to look for a friend. Look for a friend? Wuxia raised his eyebrows slightly. He had never paid attention to this little guy's social circle. Did she say when she would be back? Emomo shook his head and explained on behalf of Bei Yunj. Sister left in a hurry. However, suddenly, Yu Hanran made a phone call. What's the matter? Wuxia's tone was casual as he walked towards his desk. Ha ha ha, Master Du, you're not good at managing the family. Our sister even went to Muse. Yu Hanran gloated. The moment he heard the news, he called. How did you know? Wuxia stopped in his tracks and asked unhurriedly. I saw that you were in a hurry to look for her the last time. I told my subordinates to inform me if our sister goes again in the future. Yu Hanran teased. Has our sister been led astray? What should we do? Immediately. Before he could finish speaking, the call was hung up. Yu Hanran. Wasn't this man too heartless? Throwing him away after using him? Muse Bar. The three rich second-generation heirs could not help but feel their hearts ache as they watched the chips in their hands decrease. Yu Manran, this woman, actually found such a strong external helper? They looked at the baby-faced girl beside them who secretly handed Bei Yunj a fruit plate and got Bei Yunj to go easy on her. The other two. There was such an open back door? Soon, Yu Manran saw the two angry and distorted faces and gradually calmed down. One of them even silently reached into his pocket and took out a cigarette box. Yu Manran immediately interrupted. Feng Fei, Gur is still a high middle school student. Before he could finish speaking, he stopped abruptly. Bei Yunj, who was playing cards, did not notice a pair of bony hands behind him. He casually took a lollipop from the table next to him. Then, he brought it to her lips. Bei Yunj subconsciously bit the candy when she smelled the faint scent of lychee. But a moment later, he felt a pleasant and familiar cold fragrance around him. Bei Yunj. The next moment, Bei Yunj slowly turned her head and looked into the man's pale eyes. Brother? Bei Yunj had just opened her mouth when the man reached out and casually held the candy stick. His low, magnetic, and languid voice sounded softly. Bite it, Yun Yun. These words caused people's imaginations to run wild, causing their faces to blush and their hearts to race. Especially when he saw the person's face clearly, his heart beat even faster. Only Yu Manran saw clearly that the man who came was actually Wuxia. He was so scared that he woke up. Master Du. Yu Manran's brain froze. She never thought that the person she thought would be related to Gur was actually this person? Wasn't this person famous for not getting close to women? Oh, this was true. She had personally experienced it. Back then, old Madame Hua had randomly matched Yu Manran. When she saw that Wuxia was indifferent to everyone, she even had designs on Yu Manran. After all, the Hua family and the Yu family had always been on good terms. But how could Yu Manran have the guts to do that? No matter how good-looking or how powerful he wasn't someone she could get her hands on, alright? Hence, when Yu Manran heard the news that night, she immediately got a boyfriend to save her life. Chapter 268. The man's nonchalant gaze landed on her. Are you Yunyan's friend? Yu Manran braced himself. Yes. She had gone overboard. If she had known that the person who had a relationship with Gur was Master Du, she wouldn't have dared to pull Bei Yunj out. Then, before Wuxia could speak, Yu Manran took the initiative to admit her mistake. I'm sorry, Master Du, I drank too much. I didn't know about Yunyan's relationship with you. As soon as she finished speaking, Yu Manran hurriedly picked up her high heels and ran out barefooted as if she didn't care about her life. Everyone. When this scene landed in the eyes of the others, the atmosphere became more and more oppressive. Fortunately, Huashidu only glanced at them. In the end, his gaze landed on Bei Yunj. There was a faint smile in his eyes. Yun, she's gone. Do you still want to continue playing? Bei Yunj immediately shook her head. Let's go home. She almost forgot that Huashidu and Yu Manran knew each other, so he should also know Yu Manran. On the way, Bei Yunj followed Huashidu very quietly. After all, the parent-teacher conference had just been held last week, and now she was caught at a bar. Bei Yunj looked up and saw that the man in front of her really did not intend to pay attention to her. She quickly walked forward. Brother. Yes. Huashidu opened the car door and waited for Bei Yunj to get in before returning to the driver's seat. Although Bei Yunj saw that he looked relaxed, he did not say a word. Actually, I was helping Man win some money just now. Bei Yunj tapped her index finger on the armrest of the car door and explained calmly. Hearing this, Huashidu finally turned around and glanced at her unhurriedly. He was refined and lazy. Is that so? Then why did I see someone trying to pass you a cigarette? Bei Yunj? ? When did this happen? Suddenly, the image of Huashidu feeding her candy appeared in Bei Yunj's mind. At that time, the young man behind Huashidu seemed to be holding a cigarette. She couldn't explain it anymore. After getting out of the car, it was already 9 o'clock when Huashidu brought Bei Yunj home. As for Momo, who was still growing, she was asked to go to bed early. Suddenly, Bei Yunj stood in front of Huashidu and looked up at him with a smile. Brother, I know I was wrong. Can't we make a deal? How can I not be angry? The little girl seemed to be used to this trick. As long as she pretended to be obedient, no one would bear to scold her. The man chuckled casually and raised his eyes. His appearance was light and seductive. He stretched out his hand lazily and gently pushed her forehead with his cold fingers. He said in a lazy and magnetic voice, Yes, brother will be unhappy whenever he sees Yun now. Bei Yunj? ? As Bei Yunj regained her senses, there was a commotion in the living room. When he turned on the lights, he found that Alice was really tearing down the house. Bei Yunj's beautiful eyes moved, and she glanced at the man beside her calmly. A few minutes later, Bei Yunj held the rope and sat in the long corridor outside. The man and the dog were called Punishment. Bei Yunj couldn't help but stroke Alice's head and sigh. This man was really hard to coax. However, Bei Yunj had only been sitting for less than 5 minutes when a familiar voice sounded not far away. "Ayo, Miss Pei, what's going on? Why are you outside in the wind?" Yu Hanran asked deliberately. P.S. This article is the most sadistic, punishment. I've finished updating today. From tomorrow onwards, I'll update at least 6 times and normally 8 times. I'll update once my monthly votes reach 150. Good night. Chapter 269. Bei Yunj glanced at him coldly. Then, Yu Hanran pretended to be surprised. Why? Don't tell me you didn't return home at night and cheated on Master Du? Bei Yunj sneered. If President Yu was so concerned about the company's market value wouldn't have fallen to second place. Yu Hanran was speechless. This little girl was really vicious. Then why did you go to Muse? Yu Hanran asked without hesitation. The next moment, Bei Yunj's eyes were cold. How did President Yu know that I went to Muse? Yu Hanran reacted abruptly and accidentally met Bei Yunj's eyes. At this moment, it was useless to explain. Well, Yu Hanran forced a smile on his face. What's the hurry? Won't you know when you go in? At this moment, Bei Yunj was not angry and smiled slowly. This situation inexplicably gave Yu Hanran a bad premonition. In the living room, the man stood by the French window. It was as if he was not looking at the beautiful plants outside, but at the girl sitting by the long corridor. Master Du, what's wrong with your girl? Is she standing at the door as punishment? Yu Hanran's tone was casual. He had just received Huashidu's call and rushed over impatiently. He said again, Ayo, this method of education won't work. It won't work, so President Yu, take care of your sister. The man retracted his gaze and his tone inexplicably made Yu Hanran's back turn cold. Yu Hanran was speechless. What did he mean? Hua Shidu was not a busybody. Even if Yu Manran was reckless, Hua Shidu might not be able to say a word. After thinking for a moment, Yu Hanran's mind suddenly cleared. He thought of Bei Yunja's specious words and suddenly had a bad thought. He took a deep breath without batting an eyelid. Was it Man who brought your eldest daughter there? Hua Shidu did not speak, but his gaze was enough to explain everything. Well, Master Du, Yu Hanran began to stutter. He didn't expect that he had reported his own sister. I heard that President Yu has a conscience. How could he come in when he saw the young lady standing outside? The man took out a cigarette from the cigarette box and put it between his thin lips casually. As soon as he finished speaking, Yu Hanran suddenly understood what Hua Shidu meant. Was she blaming him for not bringing Bei Yunj in? Yu Hanran. Master Du called him over just to let him bring the little girl in? Did Bei Yunj and that Alaskan Malamute have been sitting outside for more than 10 minutes? Was he a tool? Master Du, are you feeling sorry for her? Yu Hanran put on a fake smile and suddenly regretted having such a childhood friend. Although I feel sorry for her, the little girl still needs to learn a lesson. The man held a cigarette between his fingers, his posture casual. Hearing this, Yu Hanran felt like he was going to die from anger. What kind of lesson was this? Bei Yunj going out for a few minutes was considered a lesson. Back then, the CEOs of the corporations who had been taught a lesson by the Hua Corporation all sat on the rooftop, okay? Wasn't Master Du doting on this little girl too much? Although he was jealous, Yu Hanran still called Bei Yunj in. Bei Yunj glanced at the man on the sofa. Brother. Hua Shidu put out the cigarette between his fingers and looked at her without averting his gaze. Since President Yu has spoken, you should go to bed first. Chapter 270. Yu Hanran was perplexed. Ha ha ha, your words are really interesting. Thank you, Brother President Yu. Bei Yunja's tone was so obedient that she didn't seem like the person who had insulted him outside just now. Yu Hanran was speechless. Neither of them was a good person. Good night, brother. Bei Yunj suddenly smiled at Hua Shidu and went upstairs with a lass. After Bei Yunj left, before Yu Hanran could react, the man beside him glanced at him. Why aren't you leaving? Yu Hanran was speechless. Listen, was this something a person should say? Did he really call him over in the middle of the night just to bring Bei Yunj into the house? The next day, Yu Manran called early in the morning to ask about her. Guha, are you okay? Yu Manran was a little nervous. She hadn't slept last night. She felt that she was a little weak in front of Master Du, but she really couldn't be strong. Thanks to you, I'm still alive, Bei Yunj said slowly. Yu Manran explained. Sob, I'm sorry, Guha. I was too afraid of Master Du. Don't ask me to go to a bar next time. Bei Yunj didn't care about this and comforted her casually before hanging up. Monday. Hongda High School. News had also spread in school that Qin Youjiao had taken a month's leave to go on a piano concert tour. F***CK. She's still in the mood to tour? She's too strong. What are you worried about? She still has the Cheng family behind her. It's not like you haven't seen how much Mrs. Cheng liked Qin Youjiao during the parent-teacher conference in year 3. But isn't this because she's the eldest young lady of the Qin family? Now, the Qin family has chased her out. How can that be? Bei Yunj only has a status, but in terms of talent and knowledge, Qin Youjiao has a lot to be proud of. I heard that the watch on Qin Youjiao's wrist was changed again. It's worth more than 5 million yuan. If she was chased out, would she still be in this state? That's true. I don't know what happened to the Qin family, but they suddenly caused such a commotion. If it were me, I'd rather keep Qin Youjiao. After all, Qin Youjiao is indeed outstanding and can make the family proud. Master Pei, what's going on? Qin Youjiao hasn't left yet? Chu Zhixing furrowed his eyebrows. From the beginning, when Bei Yunj came to Hongda, the rumors about Bei Yunj in the school had never been good. And in the entire school, other than Qin Youjiao, who else would deliberately find trouble with Bei Yunj? I don't know. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows, unscrewed the bottle cap, and drank it. She had never asked about the Qin family. However, the only reason Qin Youjiao could continue to maintain her elder young miss image was because of Mrs. Qin's help. What's wrong with the Qin family? You're the real daughter. Why do you care about that fake daughter? Chu Zhixing couldn't help but curse. However, when he came to his senses, he suddenly realized that Bei Yunj was also a member of the Qin family. He had also scolded Master Pei. Master Pei, Bei Yunj chuckled. You don't have to treat me as a member of the Qin family. Hearing this, Chu Zhixing froze. Only then did he understand why Bei Yunj had never explained her identity to anyone. She had never treated herself as a member of the Qin family, so why did she have to explain herself? After school. The moment Bei Yunj left the school, she saw Qin Luyan not far away. He was wearing a dark gray suit and looked extraordinarily handsome as his dark eyes glanced at her. Qin Luyan quickly strode towards her. What's wrong? I didn't wait for Gu'er to return to the old mansion, so I came to give you a present. Chapter 271. There's no need. Bei Yunj's eyes moved as she remembered the message Qin Luyan had sent her before. So he really bought it for her. You don't like it? Qin Luyan's eyes darkened. Or does Gu'er not like brother's gift? The gift is too expensive. Bei Yunj's eyes were clear, but her tone was faint and distant. Qin Luyan's hand that was holding the gift caressed the gift box slightly, the smile on his lips gentle. Gu'er, do you hate brother a lot? Bei Yunj did not understand why these people from the Qin family were so abnormal and started to treat her so well. Seeing that Bei Yunj did not speak for a long time, Qin Luyan's lips suddenly curled up and his low voice was filled with laughter. Then you don't hate me anymore. Bei Yunj was perplexed. Then accompany brother to visit grandpa? Qin Luyan's words caught what Bei Yunj was concerned about. Okay. Bei Yunj thought that she had not visited the old master yet and nodded. Seeing this, the smile on Qin Luyan's lips lifted imperceptibly. His gaze that swept over Bei Yunj was filled with gentleness. In the hospital. After the old master's surgery, his condition was slowly recovering. However, in the past 2 days, he had also heard Mrs. Qin crying and complaining about how Qin Luyan had chased Qin Youjiao away from the Qin family. Old Master Qin's eyelids twitched. Luyan, did you really chase Youjiao away from the Qin family? Qin Luyan peeled an apple slowly. She shouldn't have stayed. Old Master Qin did not know what to say for a moment. This grandson of his had the weakest sense of blood ties and seemed to do everything according to his mood. However, he did not expect Qin Luyan to be able to do something as disgraceful as sending his parents overseas just to get rid of Qin Youjiao. 2 days ago, your mother cried here for the entire afternoon. Those who don't know might think that I'm gone. The corners of old Master Qin's lips twitched. If Grandpa doesn't like it, I can still send her overseas, Qin Luyan said calmly. These words sounded as if they were discussing how the weather was today. No need, no need. Even old Master Qin was inexplicably afraid of his grandson. Back when he had chosen Qin Luyan as the heir, he could also see that Qin Luyan had the courage to govern the Qin clan. However, he did not expect Qin Luyan's current methods to be even more ruthless. He could not figure out Qin Luyan's thoughts at all. Aren't you afraid that your mother will hate you and kill herself? Old Master Qin sighed. That's her business. Qin Luyan's tone remained indifferent. After saying this, Bei Yunj had just finished changing the water in the vase and walked in. Gu'er, you don't have to be so concerned about this. Old Master Qin smiled. He turned around and saw that the apple in Qin Luyan's hand had been peeled. He instinctively reached out to take it. But he didn't expect that. Qin Luyan suddenly stood up and handed the peeled apple to Bei Yunj. Gu'er, try this apple first. Big brother will peel another one for Grandpa later. Old Master Qin was speechless. Bei Yunj nodded, took the apple and took a bite. It's quite sweet. It's delicious. Hearing this, Qin Luyan's lips curved and he sat back down, picking up another apple slowly. Grandpa, don't be anxious. There's more here. Old Master Qin put on a fake smile and forced himself to maintain his dignity. How am I anxious? That's good. Qin Luyan nodded. Chapter 272. Hearing this, Old Master Qin could not catch his breath and looked at Qin Luyan with a terrible expression. This brat was really too vicious. However, what surprised Old Master Qin even more was that Qin Luyan was doing this to protect Bei Yunj. A dark look flashed across his eyes and he could not help but heave a sigh of relief. That was good. If Lu Yen could protect Gu'er, at least Gu'er would not be bullied in the future. Then, halfway through peeling the apple, Qin Lang suddenly came to visit Old Master. Qin Lang's eyes lit up when he saw Bei Yunj. However, this also made Qin Luyen frown quietly.
All right, Old Master. I'm going deaf from your shouting.
Old Master Qin rolled his eyes. Are you hungry? Do you want third brother to go downstairs and buy you something? After Qin Lang put down the fruit, he went to Bei Yunj's side. There's no need. Bei Yunj's eyelids twitched. At this moment, Qin Luyen watched Qin Lang stick to Bei Yunj as he slowly peeled the apple. It was only when Bei Yunj found an excuse to leave that Qin Luyen handed the apple to Old Master Qin and called out to Qin Lang. Qin Lang. What's wrong, brother? Chatted with me for a long time just now and didn't notice you were here. Qin Lang was overjoyed. At this moment, Qin Luyen said calmly, Come out with me. When Qin Lang heard this, he thought that Qin Luyen was going to say something intimate to him and happily followed him out. Seeing this, Old Master Qin could not help but wonder. How can there be such a silly person in my Qin family? Could anything good happen if he was called out by Qin Luyen? In the corridor, Qin Lang started to praise his relationship with Bei Yunj again. Qin Lang. Ha! Qin Lang was stunned. Qin Luyen smiled, his eyes refined and elegant. He reached out to help him tidy the creases on his clothes. Stop pestering Gu'er, if you don't want to go to S country to dig coal. Qin Lang froze. On the same day, Bei Yunj also made an appointment with Marcus' niece, Jian Shi, to meet at the Computing Institute. At the entrance of the Computing Institute, Jian Shi was stopped without any preparation. Before Jian Shi could contact Bei Yunj, she suddenly saw a familiar figure. Professor C. Look at me, look at me. Jian Shi shouted as she jumped up. Si Chengyan heard a familiar voice and turned around to see Jian Shi standing at the door. Why are you here? Si Chengyan's eyelids twitched as he spoke to Jian Shi indifferently. The reason was that when this young lady first entered the school, she had confessed to Si Chengyan because she felt that Si Chengyan was capable and good-looking. Si Chengyan felt a headache coming on. Was this guy here to look for him again? They even went to the Computing Institute? I'm here to look for my teacher. Upon hearing this, Si Chengyan thought to himself that she was indeed here to look for him. However, as he thought about it, he realized that something was wrong. Who is your teacher? Si Chengyan looked at her. My teacher's surname is Pei. Do you know her? Jian Shi asked with a smile. Hearing this, Si Chengyan's body trembled. In the entire Computing Institute, only that person with the surname Pei. Was Bei Yunj that capable? She directly took in the top student of Yun University's Computing Institute? Why did you suddenly find a teacher? Back then, Marcus had contacted Si Chengyan privately and revealed that Jian Shi was his niece, hoping that Si Chengyan would take care of her more. Chapter 273. Because the teachers in school are not very good, Jian Shi said without thinking. Meanwhile, Si Chengyan's mind was filled with this sentence. The teachers in school were not good. Jian Shi saw that Si Chengyan's expression had darkened and immediately explained, You taught very well, but I know everything, so I want to find a more difficult teacher. It's quite difficult for her to teach. Si Chengyan chuckled indifferently. If it was not difficult, could those two interns from our nation's Computing Institute be trained like that? How is it? Is my teacher good? Jian Shi had never seen Bei Yunj before. She liked her crazily just because Bei Yunj had taught her a few lessons. However, what Jian Shi did not expect was that she could understand what Bei Yunj taught because she had taught Tich and Jasmine before. Si Chengyan gave a fake smile. Great, great. Then Professor C. So go and find her yourself. After saying that, Si Chengyan left. Jian Shi. Just as Jian Shi was asking around for directions, Cheng Zihuai, who was following up on the project, saw Jian Shi. Who is that person? Cheng Zihuai asked. Hearing this, the boy beside her looked at Jian Shi and his eyes lit up. It's our junior from Yun University, Jian Shi. She's the top student in the computing faculty. Moreover, she skipped a grade and was admitted. Cheng Zihuai's eyes flickered. He did not expect this girl, who looked younger than him, to be so capable. Is she here for an internship too? Cheng Zihuai asked. I don't think so. She's heading to building number 3. She might be an intern or student brought by an official member. What do you mean? Cheng Zihui frowned. Weren't the interns in the Computing Institute all taught by teachers? It means that an outstanding intern can follow the teacher who chose her in advance. At this point, the boy said mysteriously, I heard that an incredible big boss came to building number 3. She's not even a member of our institute, but she has the treatment of an official member. Moreover, this person is being poached by the superintendent himself. When Cheng Zihui heard this, for some reason, he suddenly remembered the person who had rejected him previously. She was also in Cloud City. A dark glint appeared in Cheng Zihui's eyes.
He clenched his fists and asked calmly, Then do you know where this person was dug up from?
I don't know. I heard the teachers mention the Computing Institute a few times. Maybe. As soon as he finished speaking, Cheng Zihui's heart tightened as his gaze deepened. It was indeed her.
At this moment, the boy was still muttering to himself. The big boss is indeed the big boss.
2 top computing institutes are fighting over him. If it were us, we would fight to the death for an intern position. I still have something to do. You can go to the lab first. With that, Cheng Zihui chased after Jian Shi. Jian Shi had just found the 3rd building and was about to enter when someone called out to her.
Hello, Miss Jian.
When Jian Shi heard this, she turned around impatiently. However, when she saw Cheng Zihui's face clearly, her heart could not help but race. She was really good-looking. Who are you? Jian Shi coughed lightly and raised her head proudly. I'm an intern here. Miss Jian, are you here to look for a teacher? Why don't I take you there? Cheng Zihui pretended not to know that Jian Shi was personally taught by a teacher. Chapter 274. Teaching teacher? Other than me, my teacher only brought 2 interns. Jian Shi added silently. Besides, it's not what you know. Cheng Zihui was curious as to why Jian Shi could be chosen by an official member. After all, there were even doctorates among this group of interns. As a 3rd-year high school student, he already had the worst foundation among this batch of interns. Is that so? Cheng Zihui smiled gently, but he had other ideas in his heart. Then can I leave Miss Jian's cell phone number? Even if Jian Shi did not know the person from our nation's computing institute, she was still a student taught by an official member. As long as he had a good relationship with Jian Shi, he would definitely have a chance to meet that woman. Cheng Zihui's eyes darkened. When he saw that Jian Shi was about to take out her cell phone and save his number, his lips curled up unconsciously. But suddenly, someone called Jian Shi. Cheng Zihui happened to see the caller ID. His body stiffened and his pupils constricted. It was her. At this moment, Jian Shi saw that Bei Yunj had called and her mood instantly improved. Jian Shi's eyes lit up. Teacher, I'm already downstairs. Bei Yunj leaned lazily against the railing and looked at Cheng Zihui, who was still planning to seduce her student. She looked at her watch, her bright eyes wild and playful. She seemed to be doing it on purpose.
Yes, I thought teacher had fallen out of favor.
Hearing this, Jian Shi felt like she was going to die. My teacher is the cutest in the world.
Teacher, I'm coming.
Jian Shi did not even look at Cheng Zihui as she ran into the building. He could not stop her. At the same time, Cheng Zihui's expression turned ugly. He looked at Jian Shi's figure running away and subconsciously looked upstairs. But at this moment, there was no one upstairs. Cheng Zihui's face darkened as he gritted his teeth. That woman would rather accept Jian Shi than him? Sooner or later, he would find that woman and make her change her mind. On the 5th floor, Bei Yunj received a call. Miss Pei? Do you still remember me? I'm Delaney. What's the matter? I have a student coming over. Bei Yunj's tone was still indifferent, but at this moment, Delaney was trying to please Bei Yunj. Yes, about our 1 billion. Just when Bei Yunj thought that he was going to bargain, she suddenly heard Delaney say gently, how about another 100 million? Bei Yunj. This was the first time she had seen someone complaining that they didn't bleed enough. Miss Pei, I was too unruly last time. Can this 100 million be considered as our reconciliation fee? Delaney said anxiously. There was a reason for Delaney's exhaustion. The results of Bei Yunj's research were almost out. He never thought that just when he thought that he had been taken advantage of,
The other two rival companies would actually look for Marcus and be willing to double the price to buy the rights to use Pei Yun's project. He hadn't even officially signed the contract yet, and someone was already trying to steal his project?
There's no need for that. We'll take whatever we set.
After Bei Yun finished speaking, she saw a figure at the door and hung up. As for Delaney, who had been hung up on, his smile froze.
Has your teacher always been like this? She doesn't even want to earn money?
Delaney could not help but turn to look at Titch.
Titch thought for a moment.
Dad, have you ever thought that she might not care about this 100 million?
Chapter 275.
Delaney was silent for a moment before sitting beside Titch again.
He patted his shoulder amiably. Learn from your teacher well. When necessary, put in a good word for your father. Titch trembled.
This was the first time his father valued him so much. Back then, when he entered the computing institute, Delaney was still crazy about it. He arrogantly said that his son did not need to learn from those old-fashioned people.
It was too embarrassing.
Now, he was asking his son to get in through the back door. Titch swallowed his saliva. This is quite difficult. Every time during class, he could feel the teacher's mood turn from sunny to gloomy. He and Jasmine were afraid of being scolded. Fortunately, Bei Yun did not seem to have the habit of scolding people.
Difficult? Aren't you the top student in school?
Delaney was very unhappy. Suddenly, an excellent idea flashed through his mind. He reached out and touched Titch's head. He was so gentle that it was scary. Son, we men can sacrifice our looks when necessary. Do you understand? If others heard that the young master of the Delaney group had to sacrifice his looks to fight for an opportunity for the group, he would probably be in the headlines for half a month. Titch was so frightened that he almost jumped up. He was so angry that he laughed. Dad, if you don't want to be hunted down by my teacher, please be normal. Jasmine is the best-looking person in our circle. I've never seen him have such thoughts. Jasmine's mother was the most famous movie queen in our nation, and his father was the founder of the first group in the fashion industry. In the industry, he was sought after by countless people. However, in front of his teacher, they were just students who were a little difficult to teach. Delaney was speechless. This brat only had this bit of ambition.
Forget it. Learn from your teacher. Just don't make her angry.
Delaney rolled her eyes and left angrily.
Titch was speechless.
At the Computing Institute. You're here. After Bei Yun hung up the phone, his gaze landed on Jian Shi. Jian Shi looked at Pei Yun in front of her and froze when she heard this familiar voice. This was her teacher. Wasn't she too young? When she first heard Bei Yun's voice, she felt that her teacher should be very young, but she did not expect her to be so young. Teacher. Yes. Bei Yun's red lips curved into a smile as she looked at the person who liked to act coquettishly on the internet. What's the matter? Jian Shi looked at Bei Yun's beautiful eyes, especially those eyes that were smiling at her. For some reason, her heart beat faster. Wasn't he too good-looking? Why didn't Marcus say that her teacher was so good-looking? No, nothing.
Teacher, can I come here to teach next time?
Jian Shi stared straight at Bei Yun with a fiery gaze.
Anything is fine.
It depends on your schedule. Bei Yun sat at the table and asked slowly, Who did you see downstairs just now? Jian Shi was stunned for a moment before she quickly reacted. Bei Yun must have seen her greeting Cheng Zihuai. I don't know him, but he's quite good-looking. Well, don't bother with people you don't know. Bei Yun patted the chair next to her and gestured for her to sit down.
All right.
Jian Shi suppressed her excitement and threw her palpitations towards Cheng Zihuai to the back of her mind.
Teacher, have you graduated?
Jian Shi could not help but ask.
Not yet. Chapter 276.
Jian Shi continued to ask. Which school is it? Hengda. Bei Yun answered as he did his work. Hearing this, Jian Shi regretted it. Why did she skip grades back then? Otherwise, she would not have been classmates with the teacher.
Wait, Hengda?
Jian Shi's smile froze. Some time ago, didn't the school leaders ask her to go to Hengda to help give a speech and teach the third-year students their college entrance examination experience and cheer them on? What's wrong? Bei Yun turned to look at Jian Shi. Jian Shi shook her head frantically and forced a smile. Nothing. No, she could not go. If she went on stage to give a speech and saw Bei Yun,
She would probably be so nervous that she could not speak. As Bei Yunj still had something to talk to Zhong Shanglin about, Bei Yunj asked Jian Shi to go back first. However, Jian Shi did not expect to see Cheng Zihuai waiting not far away when she went downstairs. Seeing this, she frowned without batting an eyelid. When she first saw Cheng Zihuai, she did not notice that this person seemed to be approaching her with a motive. However, when she thought of what Bei Yunj had said to her, Jian Shi suddenly calmed down. This person was definitely not a good person. Miss Jian. Cheng Zihuai saw that Jian Shi pretended not to see him and walked out. He could not help but frown and call out to her. What's the matter? Jian Shi was a little impatient and her gaze was arrogant. It was Cheng Zihuai's first time hitting on a girl. He could not help but feel embarrassed. However, a moment later, he clenched his fists and revealed a charming smile. Senior Jian is at Yun University? Then we should meet in a year's time. If you have something to say, you can tell me directly. I still have to go home. Jian Shi glanced at her watch with an indifferent attitude. This made Cheng Zihuai feel strange. The way Jian Shi looked at him just now clearly had a good impression of him. Then I'll send you off. It's not safe for a girl to be alone. Cheng Zihuai acted very gentlemanly. If it was before, Jian Shi might have been tempted. But now, she was only on guard. There's no need. My teacher said not to interact with strangers. Jian Shi smiled at Cheng Zihuai and left. This reaction caused Cheng Zihuai's face to darken. I say, brother, aren't you too awesome? Instead of working hard in the computing institute, you're flirting with the beloved disciple of a big boss? The boy who usually spoke to Cheng Zihuai laughed. How do you know her identity? Cheng Zihuai frowned. Did you see that thing in her hand? This is our identity pass. Hers is a deck of cards. Normally, official members would reserve 1 or 2 slots for their students. If nothing goes wrong, Jian Shi will be able to get it as soon as she arrives today. This means that her teacher dotes on her. Listen to Yen. Cheng Zihuai felt even more upset as he stared at Jian Shi's back. The things that he couldn't get were easily obtained by someone else. Listen to me, don't think too much about it. Jian Shi has been a proud daughter of heaven since she was young. For half a month. Qin Youjiao, who did not appear in Hengda, was on the headlines every day. Because of the piano concert tour, not only did she receive praise from well-known pianists in the industry, but the scene of Mrs. Qin and Mrs. Chang presenting flowers on stage was also enviable. Back then, they thought that Qin Youjiao would be in dire straits after being chased out. Who knew that there would be such a scene? Chapter 277. Qin Youjiao was indeed a princess to be able to make her mother-in-law and her mother, who was not related to her by blood, go on stage to give flowers and hug her. So, not long after, Qin Youjiao started to attract a large number of fans again. Many marketing accounts praised her for her beauty and kindness. However, within a few days, Mrs. Qin was almost angered to death by her eldest son. Because Qin Luyan had warned her last time, she did not care. In the end, the next day, Qin Luyan actually banned her card. He even asked his secretary to tell her that if she wanted to buy anything in the future, she had to use a receipt to reimburse herself. She was already so old, but she was still being pranked by her son like this. Class 7. Master Pei, come on. A life that doesn't play games is incomplete. Don't worry, Brother Lu will take you flying. Before Bei Yunj could react, Lu Yuanxi snatched her phone and wanted to install the game for her. I don't like this kind of thing. Bei Yunj furrowed her eyebrows unconsciously and resisted. Are you afraid of losing Master Pei? To think that you would have such a day? Lu Yuanxi seemed to have discovered something incredible and even said loudly on purpose. As a result, Chu Zhixing, who was behind him, looked at him with an exceptionally benevolent and pitiful gaze. Bei Yunj was speechless. Soon after Lu Yuanxi installed the phone app for her, he could not help but complain, "Why is your phone interface cleaner than mine?" There was no girl's pink and tender interface. She was going to be kicked out of the ranks of girls. You have a lot of things to do. Bei Yunj smiled at him. Lu Yuanxi registered an account for Bei Yunj. I hope you won't admire me too much after you finish playing the game. Bei Yunj looked up and glanced at her iPad. In the end, she took the phone. Within moments. When the team battle started, Bei Yunj was like a Buddha praying. She did not take advantage of the situation or kill anyone.
She just watched Lu Yuanci operate. However, Lu Yuanci could not bring her along, probably because his opponent was not very good. Especially when he glanced back and saw Bei Yunji's character not moving at all, the corners of his lips could not help but twitch. Master Pei, move. This is a competitive game. Don't be afraid of killing, okay? Hearing this, the other boys couldn't help but laugh. Bei Yunji had just split the screen and roughly looked at the settings of the game. When she heard Lu Yuanci's words, she quickly returned to the game. Okay. Really? Lu Yuanci was very suspicious of this newbie. Even this game was created with his help. But in the next moment, when Lu Yuanci's gaze returned to the game, he suddenly realized that there was one less opponent. Soon, the news of Bei Yunji's first blood appeared on the public chat. Lu Yuanci was confused. What the hell? The player who had just been killed by Bei Yunji had the best positioning among all of them. He hadn't looked at the interface for a few seconds. Bei Yunji, today you. Her luck was not bad. Before Lu Yuanci could finish speaking, he saw Bei Yunji taking the heads of the players one by one. The scene was like a one-sided slaughter field for her. The game ended in less than 10 minutes. He, on the other hand, took on the role of Bei Yunji's chanting Buddha in the early stages of the game and watched her torture and kill. In the end, Bei Yunji put down her phone and said leisurely, "Brother Lu, it's nothing." Lu Yuanci was speechless. "Brother Lu, what's the matter? How's Master Pei's operation?" A boy next to him came over with a cheeky smile, thinking that Lu Yuanci did not manage to drive Bei Yunji. P.S. Good boys, remember to vote. Every 150 monthly votes, I will add an update. There will be an update later. Chapter 278. Lu Yuanci's lips moved, but he didn't say anything in the end. It wasn't until the rankings lit up on the screen that the boys at the back froze when they saw it clearly. Was there something wrong with their eyes? What was going on with the first place, PYG? Wasn't this result too heaven-defying? Did the other team members eat vegetarian and pray to Buddha? Why were their hands so clean? Brother Lu, are you in second place? The boy at the back asked in a trembling voice. At least Lu Yuanci had a head. The last few people really seemed to be here to redeem all living beings. Lu Yuanci was a little speechless. However, at this moment, Bei Yunji glanced at Lu Yuanci. That glance was particularly meaningful. Lu Yuanci was speechless. Master Pei is awesome. The boy at the back couldn't help but shout excitedly. Who is Master Pei? During the afternoon self-study, the physics teacher happened to come to the class to ask who was willing to participate in the physics competition. In the end, he tried his best to persuade them for a long time, but no one paid attention to him. At this moment, the classroom was still very quiet. You're already a master. At least stand up and let me recognize you. How about that? The physics teacher teased. Bei Yunji was speechless. In the end, under the gaze of the physics teacher, Bei Yunji slowly stood up. Teacher Zhao. The moment Bei Yunji stood up, the physics teacher's eyes lit up. Okay. Then it's you. You're indeed my class representative. Your courage is commendable. Bei Yunji was speechless. She didn't hear what the physics teacher said on stage just now, but for some reason, she had a bad premonition. Bei Yunji looked back at Chu Zhixing and hinted with her eyes for Chu Zhixing to remind her of what the physics teacher wanted to do. At this moment, Chu Zhixing stood up. Teacher Zhao, why don't I participate? The physics competition. Student Pei probably doesn't like it. As soon as he finished speaking, suddenly, Ling Jiwei laughed and said in a strange tone, That's right, Teacher Zhao. Don't you know the results of Bei Yunji's participation in the competition? There's no need for student Pei to embarrass herself, right? Ling Jiwei, can you speak properly? Lu Yuanci's eyes turned cold. Hearing Lu Yuanci openly defend Bei Yunji, Ling Jiwei's heart became even more twisted. Am I not telling the truth? I'm just thinking for her sake. I don't want her to be embarrassed. She couldn't help but sneer and look at Bei Yunji. Bei Yunji, do you dare to participate in this competition? Although Ling Jiwei's words were sarcastic, everyone knew that her words were crude but not crude. Bei Yunji's score. If he went out to compete, he would only be treated as a joke. In the past, no one in their class had participated in the competition because they didn't want to be laughed at. I think Ling Jiwei is right. If Bei Yunj participates in the competition, our class 7 will lose all face. A bespectacled boy couldn't help but whisper in agreement. The group of people behind them didn't study hard. In the entire class 7, there were only 1 or 2 people who could be brought to the table. Teacher, I also don't agree with Bei Yunj's participation in the competition. She's so popular. What if she loses the competition and leads our class to the headlines? I can't afford to lose face like that. Another girl raised her hand and said angrily. Everyone knew in their hearts that they wouldn't just lose. They were clearly going to hit a new low in history. That's right. If she goes, I'll change classes. Someone glanced at Bei Yunj in disgust and said arrogantly. P.S. Be good. Every 150 votes. I'll add 1 more chapter. There's no limit to the number of chapters. All 10 chapters were completed yesterday. Old Su went to update his old books. Chapter 279. Suddenly, the physics teacher slammed the table and glanced at everyone coldly. If she doesn't go, who is willing to go? As soon as he finished speaking, the people who were arrogant just now were suddenly speechless. Who would want to embarrass themselves like this? They rarely saw the physics teacher so serious and indifferent. There are 2 places in each class for this competition. If you don't agree, stand up and compete. What right do you have to ask others to satisfy your selfish desires? As long as you're willing to climb up the ladder, do you think the doubts on the way are important? Hearing this, the people in the class were even more speechless. Zhao Yi was the teacher with the most experience in teaching. He was meticulous and was not like the other teachers who were full of resistance when they took over the 7th class. After all, whoever took over the 7th class would be paid a fixed salary. They would not be able to get any bonuses or anything like that. Unless there was a provincial top scorer. Teacher, I don't agree with Bei Yunj going. Suddenly, a boy wearing glasses stood up. His eyes were a little gloomy. He still remembered clearly how Bei Yunj threw his tie at him in front of so many people and embarrassed him. This time, he wanted Bei Yunj to have a taste of humiliation. At this moment, hearing the boy's voice, many people looked at him mockingly. There's going to be a good show. The 2nd place in our class for physics. I remember that Wang Meng got 131 points in physics this time, right? Yeah, other than Chu Zhixing who got 148 points, the rest of the class is in a slump. Because the 3rd place only had 107 points. Lu Yuanci leaned over and said, Deskmate, although this is a little embarrassing, you don't want to compete either. Why don't you? Before Lu Yuanci could finish, Bei Yunj lazily loosened her tie and looked at him playfully. Sure. In an instant, Lu Yuanci froze. Chu Zhixing, who was behind him, also looked at Bei Yunj in surprise. The next moment, the class was in an uproar. F*CK. F*CK. What's going on? Is Bei Yunj crazy? She doesn't know her place. Her physics score is just a fraction of Wang Meng's. Tisk, it's all because the guys behind Bei Yunj think she's pretty and keep praising her. You really think of yourself as Master Pei. Hearing these words, Lu Yuanci's gaze turned cold, and he stared at the people who were talking. Ling Jiwei seized the opportunity and deliberately made things difficult for her. Bei Yunj, you're taking up everyone's lunch break. If you don't get this spot, shouldn't you apologize to everyone? Then if I get this slot, shouldn't everyone apologize to me? Bei Yunj said calmly, as if she didn't feel any pressure at all. However, these words enraged the crowd. Is she still asleep? Let's see if we can get this spot. Do you want us to apologize to her? Suddenly, Ling Jiwei raised her chin and said arrogantly, If you get it, I'll apologize to you on behalf of the whole class. How about that? Sure. Bei Yunj played with the pen in her hand. When she looked up, she was calm and composed. If that's the case, then it's settled. It's just that an apology is too simple and not memorable enough. Ling Jiwei's eyes darkened. She took out a marker pen and wrote a few words. Then, she turned around and showed Bei Yunj. 10 laps around the track. Shout as you run. Everyone within 10 meters can hear you. How about that? Chapter 280. Then, everyone looked at the words on the notebook. There were only 4 words on it. I'm an idiot.
Damn, that's a little harsh, but I like it, someone joked. Aya, how can Bei Yunj have the guts to agree to Ling Jiwei's request? She might as well apologize. I've long disliked her. She used to be a disgrace in school, but now she's disgraced outside of school. I wonder who gave her the face. It's good that we can watch the show. It has nothing to do with me anyway. At this moment, Ling Jiwei urged, Bei Yunj, don't tell me you don't dare to do it. Before the physics teacher could see clearly and stop this from happening, Bei Yunj thought for a moment and said slowly, what if someone says that I'm bullying you in school? Everyone burst out laughing. Is this person delusional? She was already fantasizing that she could win? We'll talk about it if you can win. Ling Jiwei couldn't help but sneer and say sharply, if you can win, I'll say anything. Anyway, everyone is willing to do it. All right then. Bei Yunj chuckled, her eyes bright and flamboyant. Lu Yuanxi, who was beside her, elbowed Bei Yunj's arm. What's going on? Wang Meng is a beast. He attends science classes every day. Wasn't she just looking for trouble by competing with Wang Meng? Bei Yunj said calmly. Don't worry. Lu Yuanxi was speechless. Don't worry, my ass. Suddenly, Lu Yuanxi interrupted. The young man's low and smooth voice had a unique magnetism. He said in a deep voice, if Bei Yunj loses, I'll take the punishment for her. Hearing this, everyone froze. They didn't expect Lu Yuanxi to be so concerned about this. Lu Yuanxi, she'll definitely lose. Why are you helping her? Ling Jiwei couldn't accept it and said harshly. Everyone knew that she liked Lu Yuanxi. But even if Lu Yuanxi knew that Bei Yunj would lose, he was still willing to jump into the pit. I can't bear to see my deskmate being bullied. Lu Yuanxi said slowly. No. You can't replace him. Ling Jiwei broke down emotionally. How could she let Lu Yuanxi do such a disgraceful thing? Lu Yuanxi sneered. Then why can you replace Wang Meng? As soon as he finished speaking, the atmosphere froze. What he said made sense. Suddenly the person next to Lu Yuanxi poked him and said slowly, I can win. Bei Yunj was also surprised that Lu Yuanxi would say that. You think you can win? Lu Yuanxi couldn't help but curse. Bei Yunj. Forget it, this doesn't make sense. Brother Lu, Master Pei can really win. Before Chu Zhixing could compliment him, he felt Lu Yuanxi's cold gaze. It was this fatty Chu who was always bootlicking, causing his deskmate to really think that he could ascend to heaven. Teacher, give me the question. As soon as Bei Yunj finished speaking, she was interrupted by Ling Jiwei. Teacher, I remember that you have a physics question bank. Why don't I choose the question? That would be fairer. This was to prevent teacher Zhao Yi from liking Bei Yunj too much and directly leaking the question to Bei Yunj. Bei Yunj, have you thought it through? Teacher Zhao Yi looked at Bei Yunj with a complicated expression. Last time, he had checked Bei Yunj's test paper. Many of the questions that she got right were questions that no one in the grade could get right. If it was just a guess, she was too lucky. Therefore, teacher Zhao Yi wanted to see if she could participate in the physics competition. Chapter 281. Mr. Zhao really dotes on Bei Yunj. He's still trying to give Bei Yunj a way out at this time. Someone in the audience sneered. I've thought it through. Bei Yunj glanced at the person who had just spoken. However, the girl who accidentally made eye contact with her felt a chill down her spine. Okay. Mr. Zhao walked down the stage and handed the question bank to Ling Jiwei. Miss Ling, you don't have to be so ruthless. When Ling Jiwei thought of the scene where Lu Yuanxi was about to be punished for Bei Yunj, she was so jealous that her face was unrecognizable. How could she listen to him? Teacher Zhao, you've always liked good students. Why is Bei Yunj an exception for you? Ling Jiwei chuckled. Could it be because her family is rich? Ling Jiwei, think before you speak. Don't let your brain become a decoration. Bei Yunj's unhurried voice sounded from the side. This made Ling Jiwei's face turn red. Bei Yunj. Soon, Ling Jiwei adjusted her emotions and sneered. Bei Yunj, I'd like to see how you're going to continue pretending. Ling Jiwei took the question bank and walked up the stage with a cold face. She flipped to the last few pages. A dark look flashed across her eyes and she stopped what she was doing. She had seen the teacher explain this question to Wang Meng when they were in the cram school. He said that the difficulty of this question was beyond the syllabus, and that there was no need to pay too much attention to it. Bei Yunj, I'd like to see how many words you can write. Thinking of this, Ling Jiwei's hands moved without hesitation and she wrote down the question in a short while. When Wang Meng saw this, he felt a chill in his heart and his whole body stiffened. The teacher in the cram school had explained this question to him before, but he didn't really understand it. Although he remembered a few steps, he couldn't answer the question completely. Ling Jiwei. Wang Meng called out to Ling Jiwei softly with an embarrassed expression. Ling Jiwei suddenly realized what was going on. Wang Meng wasn't confident that he could answer the question completely. Ling Jiwei also didn't expect this to happen. Fortunately, her opponent was Bei Yunj. She immediately corrected herself. This question is worth 15 marks. Teacher, you can give marks according to the steps. When Zhao Yi saw this question, his expression didn't look too good. Even a senior high school student might not be able to do it. Come on stage and write. Ling Jiwei said with a smile, but her eyes were fixed on Bei Yunj. She couldn't wait to see Bei Yunj slap herself in the face. This time, she was going to make sure that Bei Yunj would never be able to make a comeback. Mud just can't be helped up the wall. Do you think you're so awesome? A short while later, Wang Meng also glanced at Bei Yunj, who was walking onto the stage, and his mood gradually improved. No matter how bad he was at it, he couldn't possibly be worse than Bei Yunj. With this thought in mind, Wang Meng began to write. Bei Yunj glanced at the question and couldn't help but frown. I knew she didn't know how to do it. Lu Yuanxi, who was sitting in his seat, almost couldn't bear to watch this suffocating scene. Brother Lu, don't you think that Master Pei is a little impatient? Chu Zhixing knew best that Bei Yunj wasn't as ignorant and incompetent as she appeared to be. Hearing this, Lu Yuanxi was about to refute when he saw Bei Yunj begin to write slowly. However, she was still writing faster than Wang Meng next door. What is Bei Yunj doing? What is she writing? I'm going to be laughed to death by Bei Yunj. She started writing when she didn't understand? Did anyone in the class understand the question before she started writing? However, no one noticed that Zhao Yi's gaze was already fixed on Bei Yunj's steps. Chapter 282. Xiao Chu, do you know how to answer this question? Seeing that Bei Yunj was in a relaxed state, a strange feeling appeared in Lu Yuanxi's heart. He could not help but lean back and ask. Yes, but it'll take half an hour. Chu Zhixing pinched the pen cap. This question was completely out of line. If he encountered it during the exam, he might give up. After all, he didn't have so much time to spend on such a question. To think that I had expectations for my deskmate just now. Lu Yuanxi couldn't help but take a deep breath. When he saw Bei Yunj writing so freely, he really thought that his deskmate was a hidden genius. You can have expectations. Chu Zhixing looked at Lu Yuanxi with a slightly deep gaze. Ling Jiwei, do you have the steps? Someone couldn't help but ask curiously. Ling Jiwei shook her head. There's only one answer. However, she didn't think that Bei Yunj really knew how to answer it. What kind of joke was this? If Bei Yunj was a big shot in physics, their whole class would be guaranteed admission to Yun University. However, gradually, Wang Meng's expression became worse and worse, and his chalk writing became slower and slower. He had completely forgotten the next step. Why did Wang Meng stop writing? Hearing this, Ling Jiwei subconsciously looked over and saw that he had also written half of the blackboard. Her heart inexplicably tightened. But then, when she turned her head and saw that Bei Yunj had written even less than Wang Meng, he actually put down the chalk. This made Ling Jiwei unconsciously heave a sigh of relief. Teacher, I'm done. Can I come down now? Bei Yunj rubbed the chalk dust between his fingers and unconsciously frowned. Teacher Zhao Yi restrained his face, which was about to distort, and nodded expressionlessly. At the same time, Wang Meng had also written about 7 or 8 questions. Although it was incomplete, it looked more than Bei Yunj's. Teacher, I'm done too, Wang Meng muttered as he wiped his sweat. Come down. Teacher Zhao Yi's tone was confusing. What's wrong? Could it be that Bei Yunj wrote blindly and Wang Meng didn't get it right? Ling Jiwei did not flip through the answers, nor did she expect Bei Yunj to get it right. She said, Teacher, it's your turn to give the results. After saying this, many people looked at Bei Yunj mockingly as if they were watching a good show. It looks like Bei Yunj is going to be so humiliated that she can't even raise her head.
That's right. Everyone in the class couldn't wait to talk about it. Suddenly,
Zhao Yi stepped forward and said calmly, Bei Yunj, come to my office after class. I'll explain the competition process to you. Ha 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 ha, I told you, the quota is definitely. The person who spoke suddenly woke up.
Wait, what did Teacher Zhao say?
Did the teacher make a mistake?
Bei Yunj got a spot? Why?
Teacher, this is not fair. There was a lot of discussion in the classroom. Ling Jiwei also looked embarrassed. She didn't believe Teacher Zhao Yi's words and looked at the answers herself. But when she saw the answers clearly and looked up at Bei Yunj's answers, her face suddenly turned pale. How is this possible? How could Bei Yunj solve this question? Even Wang Meng couldn't solve it. Lu Yuanxi, who was sitting in the back row, also twitched his eyelids.
Little Chu, am I dreaming? Did my deskmate get it right?
You're not dreaming.
It can't be.
She holds an iPad every day as if it's a treasure. Could it be that she's studying behind our backs?
Chapter 283.
Lu Yuanxi felt that this world was a fantasy. Even that bastard Wang Meng couldn't solve it. But his deskmate could? Chu Zhixing looked at Lu Yuanxi with a complicated gaze. Didn't he realize that every time Bei Yunj played with the iPad, she was reading foreign literature? And this was someone who grew up in country R. Suddenly, Teacher Zhao Yi's face darkened.
Quiet.
It wasn't until everyone quieted down and looked at him unwillingly that Teacher Zhao Yi walked to the podium. He picked up the chalk and gave Wang Meng and Bei Yunj a score. 6. 15. In the next moment, everyone's hearts were stirred up. That's impossible. Wang Meng only got 6 points. How could Bei Yunj get full marks?
Am I blind?
Could it be that the score was given wrongly? Ling Jiwei, who had remained silent, also looked extremely embarrassed. This was impossible. Bei Yunj was an ignorant and incompetent good-for-nothing. How could she get it right? At this moment, Wang Meng stood up. Teacher, other teachers have taught me this question before. Hearing Wang Meng's words, everyone's eyes widened. They didn't expect this question to be so difficult. They had already taught it, but they only got 6 points? However, wasn't Wang Meng self-destructing? Then, without waiting for everyone to be puzzled, Wang Meng stared at Bei Yunj and said sinisterly, but her solution was also wrong. The steps that Bei Yunj had written to solve the problem were completely different from the steps that his teacher had mentioned. She could get the answer in 8 steps? How was that possible? Wang Meng's words were like a huge rock that smashed into the calm situation. I knew it. How could she get it right? Teacher Zhao is too much. To think that I used to like him so much. He actually cheated to help Bei Yunj. It must be Bei Yunj who threatened Teacher Zhao. She's the eldest daughter of the Qin family. Have you said enough? Teacher Zhao Yi's expression was ugly. He didn't expect them to have so much malice towards Bei Yunj. We didn't say anything wrong. That's right. Wang Meng already said that this step is wrong. When Teacher Zhao Yi heard this, he laughed. Then why don't you let Wang Meng teach you? Instantly. The noise from earlier had all disappeared. Teacher Zhao Yi took a deep breath and calmed himself down. There's indeed something wrong with this step. Before Ling Jiwei and the others could rejoice, Teacher Zhao Yi spoke again. Where did you learn the knowledge points for graduate students? In an instant. The classroom was so quiet that it was suffocating. What was the teacher saying? Knowledge, knowledge, knowledge. Older brother taught me. Bei Yunj thought for a moment. She couldn't possibly that her mother's teacher in hers. When she was 6 or 7 years old, Mrs. Pei used this kind of question as addition and subtraction for Bei Yunj to practice. Bei Yunj's casual words made many people feel unbalanced. Which one of Bei Yunj's 3 older brothers wasn't a target of admiration? They were actually teaching Bei Yunj her homework personally? However, what they didn't know was that the person who taught Bei Yunj's homework wasn't the 3 from the Qin family, but the one from the Hua group. If this news were to spread, it would probably cause an uproar in Yuncheng. Your brother is really good. Teacher Zhao Yi braced himself and praised her. But what made him feel the most complicated was that one of the Qin siblings dared to teach, and the other actually understood. Chapter 284. Thank you. Bei Yunj naturally agreed on behalf of her brother. That's not fair. Bei Yunj's brother has already taught him. Ling Jiwei slammed the table and stood up angrily. What's so unfair about that? Didn't Wang Meng's teacher learn it before? Lu Yuanxi sneered. Chu Zhixing suddenly said, Miss Ling, I remember that you and Wang Meng were in the same physics class. As soon as he finished speaking, Ling Jiwei panicked and denied it. How would I know? Wang Meng has done this question before. However, even though Ling Jiwei denied it, many people still looked at her suspiciously. If she didn't know, how would she have dared to set such a difficult question and be so sure that Wang Meng would know it? In the end, Bei Yunj got the upper hand. TSK, don't play if you can't afford it. Why don't you admit your loss? The boy behind her said disdainfully. That's right. You said that Master Pei bought his way into the class. Aren't you the same? The boy openly brought up the matter of buying a place in the school. Ling Jiwei's face turned red. In the entire 7th class, the number of people who didn't get in through connections could be counted with one hand. Who didn't know about this? Ling Jiwei bit her lip. Under everyone's mocking gazes, she felt wronged and resentful. In the end, she looked at Bei Yunj. You won. What do you want me to say? Ling Jiwei was still hoping that Bei Yunj would let her off. Bei Yunj glanced at Ling Jiwei and suddenly smiled. Why don't we use the words you wrote? As soon as she finished speaking, Ling Jiwei looked at Bei Yunj in disbelief. Her voice was trembling with anger as if she had been humiliated. What did you say? You don't understand? Bei Yunj's tone was lazy and monotonous. Then she suddenly smiled and said considerately, If you can't say it, there's a small blackboard in the back of the class. You can write it down and run with it. When she heard this, Ling Jiwei almost wanted to tear Bei Yunj's face apart. If she really raised that sign, someone would definitely take a picture of her and post it online. Bei Yunj. I know I was wrong. Ling Jiwei took a deep breath and forced herself to say, I can give you money as an apology. Do you think I lack money? Bei Yunj's casual words made the boys in the back row start to whistle casually. Master Pei, you've exploded. Ling Jiwei's face turned green and red. You just have to make things difficult for me. Student Ling, are you planning to go back on your word? Bei Yunj's lips curled up, and his gaze turned slightly cold. She didn't have that kind of compassion. If she was the one who lost now, Ling Jiwei would only go from bad to worse. Ling Jiwei gritted her teeth and finally said, I admit it. Then, she glanced at Lu Yuanxi and lay on the table, crying. However, Lu Yuanxi did not even look at her. The class representative is quite lucky today. The invigilator and grading teacher for this physics competition is Professor Si Chengyan from Yun University. This is such a good opportunity to get to know a professor from Yunhai University. The moment teacher Zhao Yi finished speaking, the pen in Bei Yunj's hand stopped spinning. Suddenly, Bei Yunj said, Teacher, this competition. I'm not suitable. The examinees and the grading teacher knew each other, so this situation could easily cause misunderstandings. Especially someone like Si Chengyan, who had no control over his mouth. Teacher Zhao Yi was slightly stunned. Then he smiled at Bei Yunj and said, I think you're suitable, so you're the most suitable. With that, Teacher Zhao Yi whistled a tune and walked out. Chapter 285. At this moment, everyone had their own thoughts. Almost everyone felt that Bei Yunj suddenly went back on her words because she felt that she couldn't win, so she stopped while she was ahead. However, Ling Jiwei's luck was really bad. She chose a question that her brother had taught her before. She can't always be able to pick up scraps, right? Someone discussed softly. Yeah, I heard that the Year 2 and Year 3 students are participating in this competition. Qin Youjiao from Class 1 signed up and Cheng Zihuai from Class 1 also signed up. F***CK. If Bei Yunj is at the bottom, it'll be too embarrassing. Cheng Zihuai and Qin Youjiao are so sweet and even defeated her in the competition. That's right. Hearing these words, Lu Yuanxi could not help frowning and turned to look at Bei Yunj. Deskmate, this competition. You don't have to go. Bei Yunj took out a wet towel and wiped her hands slowly.
She laughed leisurely. Of course I'm going. After class. Ling Jiwei was afraid that she would be photographed running with a board. In the end, she really ran 10 laps while shouting. There were also a few boys around who were watching the fun, helping to count and supervise. This made Ling Jiwei cry uncontrollably after running, causing the teacher to think that she had been bullied in school. However, when Ling Jiwei heard this, she could only grit her teeth and say that she was willing to lose a bet with her classmate. In the office, the male teacher could not help asking, "What's wrong with Ling Jiwei from your class?" After class, she went to the field to run 10 laps and even said those strange words. She lost a bet with someone. Zhao Yi raised his eyebrows. You weren't there, were you? The male teacher wanted to say something but hesitated. This kind of thing is not allowed to happen if we are present as teachers. It's not allowed to happen in school, but it happened a lot in the end, Zhao Yi said calmly. Hearing this, the male teacher fell silent. He knew that in a class that Zhao Yi had taught in the past, there was a girl who had committed suicide because of school violence. Therefore, Zhao Yi had always hated this kind of isolation or bullying. If you know the feeling of being bullied, you will know how to restrain yourself. Zhao Yi glanced outside the window at Ling Jiwei, who was out of breath from crying. He sat down again and continued to drink his tea. In fact, there was a reason why he had taken care of Bei Yunj from the beginning. Bei Yunj's interpersonal relationships at school were similar to that of the girl who had jumped off a building because of bullying. However, what he didn't expect was that Bei Yunj was so independent and unaffected by her surroundings. It was even affecting the people in the last few rows. Zhao Yi picked up Bei Yunj's test paper again and looked at the blank questions behind her. He couldn't help but chuckle. Was there a second person with such a personality? The next day, Ling Jiwei did not expect that someone in the school would secretly use their phone to record a video of her. Even her voice had been recorded. When she saw the heated posts on the forum, Ling Jiwei's eyes turned red and she ran to the toilet. Isn't this a classic case of asking for trouble? Someone couldn't help but sneer. All right, deskmate, your birthday is in a few days? Lu Yuanci suddenly asked from behind. Bei Yunj thought for a moment. How did you know? Everyone knows online. Lu Yuanci was a little speechless. There were actually people who didn't go online these days. Bei Yunj was speechless. Everyone knew that Bei Yunj and Qin Youjiao had been swapped. Then it was very likely that they had the same birthday. P.S. Also, be good and remember the monthly ticket. Chapter 286. Have you thought about how to celebrate it? Lu Yuanci asked. Whatever. Bei Yunj suppressed the emotions in her eyes. In her previous life, Mother Pei was busy with research and Father Pei had his own family. No one remembered her birthday. However, Mother Pei's death anniversary happened to be Bei Yunj's 18th birthday. Back home, Bei Yunj had just walked into the living room when she saw Huashidu sitting in front of his laptop. He was wearing gold-rimmed glasses on his high nose bridge. The man's gaze was cold and light. The 2 buttons on his collar were loose, revealing the lines of his collarbone. From the side, the man's sexy neckline was outlined in his abstinent and lazy white shirt. Refined scum. After the first thought appeared in Bei Yunj's mind, she could not help but take out her phone and take a photo of this scene. However, perhaps because she was taking the photo seriously, Bei Yunj suddenly saw the man looking away casually from her phone. The man's posture was frivolous and ostentatious. The corners of his upturned eyes were even more seductive. His low laughter carried a magnetic and lustful aura, making one's face burn red. Yun, what are you doing? For some reason, Bei Yunj pressed the photo button again. For a moment, Bei Yunj had not thought of what to say. However, her actions were also very obvious. Are you secretly taking photos of me? The man's tone was casual and joking. His eyes were extremely dark and he looked a little lazy. He hooked his finger at her. Yun, come here. Bei Yunj walked closer to him and sat by the sofa. The next moment, the man pinched her cheek. His deep and magnetic voice was filled with a smile. There was a hint of ambiguity and intimacy in it. Come closer and take a photo. I don't mind. Bei Yunj put her phone into her pocket in front of Huashidu. It was obvious that she did not want to show Huashidu the photo she had taken just now. Are you working? Bei Yunj changed the topic. I work every day.
Shidu looked at the child in front of him and chuckled. He said unhurriedly, "Otherwise, how am I going to raise you?" Suddenly, the words that Yu Manran had said last time flashed through Bei Yunj's mind. "Brother, you're not dating?" Bei Yunj asked calmly, but his eyes fell on him. "It won't be too late to wait another 3 to 5 years." Shidu continued to browse through the documents and spoke slowly. "Bei Yunj. Why? Listen to Yen." Shidu's gaze suddenly landed on Bei Yunj. He rubbed her head as a punishment. His deep and lazy voice sounded a little amused. "What's the reason? Did Yun hear what old madam said and also urge brother?" Shidu knew that this child rarely asked about other people's matters. The fact that she could ask him this question probably meant that the old lady had said something to her. Bei Yunj said kindly, "This is a form of concern. I hope you'll be well. If Yun can get first place, I'll do anything." Bei Yunj. This man really didn't intend to fall in love. "Brother, do you have someone you like?" Shidu felt that the little girl today was a little strange, but he still answered patiently. No. He had never liked trouble. However, when Bei Yunj heard this, she felt an inexplicable joy. She didn't even notice that the corners of her lips were curled up. "Brother, I'll go upstairs first." Bei Yunj went upstairs very quickly. Then, she came down with her homework. Bored, she propped her chin up and sat beside Shidu to do her homework. Chapter 287. Aunt Meow, who had just returned, could not help but cover her mouth and laugh as she walked to the kitchen. Midnight. Everything was silent as the summer night breeze gently brushed past every inch of the ground. In the bedroom, a cell phone suddenly rang. Not long after, a cold and fair hand picked up the phone on the table and answered the call. "What's the matter?" Perhaps Bei Yunj's tone was too impatient. Even those who were far away in our nation could guess what she meant. "Miss Pei. I'm Delaney. Good morning." The moment Delaney finished speaking, Bei Yunj hung up without saying a word. She turned off her phone and threw it on the table. At this moment, Bei Yunj frowned slightly. Even with her eyes closed, she could feel her hostility. "Our nation." Delaney, who was hung up on, widened his eyes in disbelief. "Son, your teacher's temper is too bad. How can you tolerate her?" Delaney did not feel any psychological burden at all when he spoke ill of others behind their backs. Titch was speechless. "Then you're still hugging her thigh and would rather add 100 million to make that ancestor happy." "Dad." Delaney turned on his phone and showed Country A's time to Delaney. "You should pray that teacher won't blacklist you when she wakes up." Delaney's eyes almost popped out when he saw the time. 2:00 in the morning. Wasn't the difference in time a little too big? Titch looked at his father with pity. "When the time comes, even if you give me another billion, it'll be difficult to make my teacher happy." Titch, who had attended classes with Bei Yunj for a period of time, knew Bei Yunj's temper very well. She was hard to understand, hard to coax, and hard to get close to. Delaney's face turned green. He did not dare to vent his anger on Bei Yunj and quickly changed his target. "It's all because of your dog uncle. He insisted on messing with some game company. Now that there's a bug that can't be fixed, he's pestering me to get help." "Then you'd better send a message to teacher. Don't disturb her." Titch was very respectful and considerate. This made Delaney suspect that he had raised a family thief. Morning. Bei Yunj was on her way to the hospital to visit Old Master. She glanced at the message Delaney had sent a few hours ago. He caught a glimpse of a few keywords. Maps of the Gods bug. Bei Yunj remembered that the game Lu Unc had given her last time was also called Maps of the Gods. However, one was a mobile game, while the other was an online game. Then, Bei Yunj put the phone back into her pocket without thinking too much. At the door of the ward. Before Bei Yunj entered the house, she could already hear the old man scolding someone inside. His voice was full of energy. He had recovered well. "I told you to find a proper career, but you insisted on being an esports player. What was this? You don't do proper work." Old Master Qin was both angry and heartbroken. Back then, he did not agree to Qin Lang's involvement in esports, but he was also afraid that he would imitate Qin Yu and simply leave home. That was why he turned a blind eye to it. But now, Qin Lang had lost a lot of weight for the competition. In the end, This competition was delayed indefinitely because of the game itself. Aya, old master, don't scold a Lang anymore. The game will be fixed. Don't be angry. The beautiful woman sitting by the chair had a noble and arrogant expression on her face. She looked a little like Mrs. Qin. This was Mrs. Qin's younger sister, Tong Yuefan. A few years ago, her husband died in an accident and she remarried to the richest man in Jin City with the surname Lei. By the way, when is my sister coming over? A trace of ridicule flashed past Mrs. Lei's eyes. P.S. Be good and remember the monthly ticket. Chapter 288. Old Master Qin frowned without batting an eyelid. He roughly knew the deep grudge between this pair of sisters. She'll only return to Yuncheng in 2 days. Hearing this, Mrs. Lei peeled an orange with a smile. The smile on her lips could not be hidden. Don't tell me she's still with that adopted daughter who isn't related by blood? I don't know what sister is thinking. She's not her child, why is she so concerned? Madame Lei's tone made people feel uncomfortable. However, old Master Qin did not think that there was anything wrong with her words. However, next, Mrs. Lei stepped on old Master Qin's bottom line and acted presumptuously. But actually, it's understandable. She gave birth to a daughter and can't do anything. Sister is so headstrong. How can she accept it? Mrs. Lei turned around and said to old Master Qin with a smile, "All right, my husband has a younger brother. Although he's a little old, there's nothing wrong with him. Why don't you let our Yunj try?" With that said, Qin Lang, who had been silent and scrolling through the news, had his eyes cold. The corners of his lips curled into a cold arc. Auntie should try it herself. That person surnamed Lei's younger brother was a good-for-nothing who was almost 30 years old. No one in the industry was willing to marry him. But this woman actually had designs on Bei Yunj. Aya, aren't they even closer? Anyway, with Yunj's results, she probably won't be able to study for more than a few years, right? Mrs. Lei had already made up her mind to matchmake Bei Yunj and her brother-in-law. If she succeeded, her husband would think more highly of her. No matter what, my Guer is the only girl in the Qin family. Even if she doesn't get married, as her older brother, I have the ability to support her. Qin Lang's eyes were distant and cold. No wonder this Mrs. Lei came to Yuncheng immediately after hearing the news. So she still had such thoughts. How can she not get married? Mrs. Lei said with a smile, "Ah Lang, my husband's company is also the partner of the local division of your game. If Yunj marries over, everyone will be envious." Similarly, Mrs. Lei could not help feeling sarcastic. Bei Yunj could not compare to Qin Youjiao in any way. Even as the elder young miss of the Qin family, she was not presentable at all. She was more than enough to marry her brother-in-law. This Qin family even treated Bei Yunj as a treasure. Suddenly, Qin Lang's tone also became gentler. "In that case, Madame Lei, why don't you marry your precious daughter over? Wouldn't this solidify your position as Madame Lei?" "Qin Lang, what nonsense are you talking about?" Madame Lei's expression changed. The daughter Qin Lang was talking about was the daughter of Madame Lei and her late husband. "What? You can't bear to part with your own, yet you insist on touching the treasures of others?" Qin Lang had a spurious smile on his face, and his handsome eyes were arrogant, lazy, and carried slight coldness. Beside him, old Master Qin pretended not to hear anything and let Qin Lang do whatever he wanted. "You!" Madame Lei's face was ashen. Before she could open her mouth, she was suddenly interrupted by a clear voice. "Grandpa, I brought you some shredded chicken porridge," Bei Yunj said slowly. At this very moment, Madame Lei turned her head and saw the girl who was walking in from the door. She had black hair and red lips, looking bright and languid. She was so beautiful that he couldn't take his eyes off her. Madame Lei clenched her fists, displeasure rising in her heart. She didn't expect President Bei Yunj to be like this. No wonder the men of the Qin family liked her. Although she looked a little similar to Mrs. Qin, the person in front of her looked like a little vixen. "This must be Yunj, right?" Chapter 289. Mrs. Lei said with a smile, "You're really pretty." "Gu-er, why did you come here so early in the morning? How tiring is it? Come later next time. Don't young people like to sleep more?" Old Master Qin's expression was gentle and loving. Bei Yunj ignored Mrs. Lei beside her and sat down to open the porridge box for Old Master Qin.
It's all because our old master is picky and doesn't like to eat anything.
I didn't say that.
Old Master Qin refused to admit it, but he quickly picked up the spoon and drank the porridge made by Aunt Meow. However, at this moment, Mrs. Lei's expression was exceptionally ugly. How could she not know that this family was deliberately ignoring her? Suddenly, Mrs. Lei said gently, "Yunj, do you have any plans for the future? Actually, Auntie's husband has a younger brother. Auntie thinks that he's very compatible with you." "Auntie," Bei Yunj suddenly said. Mrs. Lei's expression became even gentler. Although the Qin family was stubborn, she did not believe that a little girl would be able to win against her. "What's wrong, Yunj?" "Auntie, there's no need to be too anxious." Bei Yunj's first sentence sounded refined and polite, but then she laughed lazily. "Those who don't know would think that you don't have much time left and are afraid that you won't be able to make it for my wedding." In an instant, the atmosphere gradually turned cold. Mrs. Lei's face turned red and green. Her well-maintained face was slightly distorted. What did she mean? Was she cursing her that she was about to die? Was that why she was so anxious about her marriage? "Yunj, is this how you speak to your elders?" Mrs. Lei glared at Bei Yunj angrily. This Bei Yunj was completely different from Mrs. Qin. What a troublemaker. "Auntie, don't think too much. I'm just being honest because I treat you as family." Bei Yunj's tone was lazy and the arrogance in her eyes was not restrained at all. Mrs. Lei was so angry that her expression turned even uglier. Was this what she meant by being honest? Why didn't she just ask her when she would die? "Old Master, don't you think your child has too much to teach?" Madame Lei put on a fake smile. She was just short of pointing at Bei Yunj and saying that she had no manners. "Madame Lei, you're thinking too much. Children nowadays are all like this. They're so straightforward and cute," Old Master Qin said protectively. When Qin Lang saw this, his shoulders trembled uncontrollably as he tried hard to hold back his laughter. If he were in Guer's shoes, the old man would have started scolding him long ago. It was a pity. Madame Lei insisted on stepping on the old man's bottom line. "You!" Madame Lei looked embarrassed, but in the end, when she thought of the purpose of her visit, Bei Yunj was not the most important, she endured it. She took a deep breath and changed the topic, trying her best to squeeze out a smile. "Old Master, you haven't seen Yaya in a long time, right?" "What happened?" "A few days ago, I just settled the school transfer procedures for Yaya. From now on, she'll be in the same school as Yunj." Mrs. Lei was a calculative fox. The high school in Jin City was not bad. She must have a motive for transferring Lei Ya to Hongda High School. "I see." Old Master Qin nodded. "That's right." Seeing that Old Master Qin did not intend to ask further, Madame Lei's expression froze before she said with a smile, "Then, why don't this child be Yunj's companion in the future?" If she was by Qin Yojiao's side, she would still be worried that her daughter would be inferior. However, since it was Bei Yunj, there was no need to worry. Chapter 290. No, Gur doesn't like it. Old Master Qin rejected him without even thinking about it. What a joke. She wanted to stay with Gur? Was she treating Huashidu's house as a hotel? Mrs. Lei's expression froze before she persuaded, "Yaya's results are not bad. She can tutor Yunj. Besides, Yaya knows many friends and teachers. She can bring Yunj along to broaden her horizons. Speaking of which, Alang should know how popular Yaya is online, right? She's a female gaming streamer and has a lot of fans." Qin Lang raised his eyelids. Indeed, he knew how popular Leia was. Leia was good-looking and her gaming skills stood out among the gaming streamers. She even made the headlines a while ago. She had almost 3 to 4 million fans. However, Leia had been thinking of ways to enter their club. However, Qin Lang's club did not recruit girls. Our Yaya is good at everything. It's not a bad thing to let Yunj learn from her. Mrs. Lei's tone was naturally filled with a sense of superiority. On the other hand, Bei Yunj was sitting under the window, leaning against the pear-blossom wooden chair lazily as she glanced at the message. She realized that Delaney had sent her a message again. "Teacher Pei, our fees are negotiable. Can you give me a chance?" It was not that Delaney was too humble. Usually, scientific researchers like him would rarely take on such private jobs. Besides, the person he was looking for now was Bei Yunj.
Bei Yunj replied to Delaney with a no, and put her phone in her pocket. Suddenly, your elders are here and you're still playing with your phone? I wonder who's so important? Mrs. Lei's tone was a little disdainful. People like Bei Yunj only knew a group of scum in society. Grandpa, I have something on, so I'll go back first. Bei Yunj did not look at Mrs. Lei and walked out. What's going on? Mrs. Lei could not help gritting her teeth and whispering. At the front desk, Bei Yunj knocked on the table with her slender and beautiful index finger and said with a smile, Nurse, someone is harassing a patient in Ward 306. Can you help clear the place? Soon. Mrs. Lei was told by the nurse that the patient needed more rest and asked to leave immediately. Madame Lei, who was chased downstairs, was livid. She called Leia. Mom, what's wrong? A very cold female voice rang out. Yaya, those people in the Qin family don't agree to you staying in the Qin family. Madame Lei said angrily. He didn't know why those people from the Qin clan were so arrogant. Could it be that their Lei clan was no match for the Qin clan? Leia was silent for a moment. It's okay. It's enough that I can enter Hongda. Yaya, you have to help your father. Because of the loophole in the game, he was very busy. It would be best if you could ask Chang Zihuai for a favor. Anyway, he's now at the top computing institute in the country. Madame Lei's smile was thick, but her thoughts were not limited to this. When the Qin and Qing families wanted to get engaged, Qin Youjiao was the most recognized socialite in the industry, so of course she had nothing to say. But now that Qin Youjiao had fallen, a Bei Yunj who couldn't be helped came in. Of course, she wanted her daughter to fight for it. No matter what, this was much better than Bei Yunj. Okay, I understand. Yaya, this time, whether or not we can surpass your aunt is all up to you. Don't give Bei Yunj a chance to stand out. Chapter 291. At this moment, Leia's voice became even colder, with a hint of arrogance and annoyance. Mother, do you know who you're comparing to me? All right. Mother won't say any more. How can she compare to you? Madame Lei couldn't stop smiling. Early in the morning, Bei Yunj received another international call. She looked at the unknown number displayed and suppressed her anger. Her pair of excessively beautiful eyes were slightly red and cold. She sat in front of the computer and immediately wrote a program. A few minutes later, she programmed the program into her phone and pulled Huashidu and Old Master Qin's phone numbers into the whitelist. As for the others, they would automatically hang up their messages during special times. After she was done, Bei Yunj went to bed without thinking. Delaney's cousin called him, feeling wronged. Brother, Miss Pei isn't picking up my call. Hearing this, Delaney's body trembled. He felt a sense of déjà vu. He suppressed his temper and said, Can you pay attention to other people's time? Don't you have a brain? If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have given him Bei Yunj's private number. If he angered Bei Yunj, who would he ask for help? His cousin was speechless from the scolding. In the past, when he had meetings with the people from the branch, he had always used his time as the standard. How could he change this all of a sudden? Anyway, I've already given you her phone number. Whether or not you can hook up with her will depend on your own ability. Speaking of this, Delaney muttered, if he wasn't my son and was her student, he wouldn't have been able to get her private number. Do you understand? His cousin was speechless. I understand. Are you done showing off? If you're done showing off, can you do me a favor? The next day, Bei Yunj woke up early in the morning. It was still because of the continuous ringtone from yesterday that affected her sleep quality. Huashidu had just put down the newspaper when he saw Bei Yunj sitting at the dining table and playing with her phone. She looked like she was immersed in her own world. Seeing this, the man slowly pulled out a chair and sat beside Bei Yunj. On the other hand, Bei Yunj was still throwing documents to Jian Shi to let her understand what she meant just now. Meanwhile, the man's slender hand picked up Bei Yunj's porridge and slowly scooped it up. Before Bei Yunj could react, she suddenly smelled the strong aroma of porridge on her lips. Yun Yun. The man's low and lazy voice sounded slowly. Ah! As soon as Bei Yunj opened her mouth, the man gently fed her a mouthful of porridge. Bei Yunj. This kind of feeding behavior had only happened to Bei Yunj before she was 3 years old. Does it taste good? The man's elegant and noble eyebrows were pleasing to the eye,
and his tone was somewhat cynical. Big brother saw that you were so engrossed that he didn't want to wake you up. Bei Yunj looked at the man in front of her who was smiling beautifully and could not lose her temper. She could only take the porridge from his hand and slowly drink it herself. Seeing this scene, Aunt Meow, who had just brought over a plate of side dishes, tried her best to suppress the smile on her lips. Youngsters these days were really romantic. Bei Yunj, who felt Aunt Meow's motherly gaze, was speechless. Hungda. The moment Bei Yunj entered, she felt that the boys in the class seemed to have wilted and were extremely silent. Even Lu Yuanxi and Chu Zhixing were the same. Chapter 292. What's wrong? Bei Yunj returned to her seat while chewing on her candy. Maps of the Gods is on the headlines. Did you see it? Lu Yuanxi asked. No. Bei Yunj's reply was concise. As a gamer, why don't you care about it? Lu Yuanxi did not agree. Bei Yunj. She had removed the logo of the game because she thought it was too ugly. However, Bei Yunj did not intend to say this. Is it a bug? It's not something that can't be solved. Just find someone to fix it. Bei Yunj did not think much of it. Previously, Bei Yunj did not want to take on the job because it did not require much skill. How can it be so easy to control? All the servers are closed now. I heard from the insiders that the bugs are very serious. They are fixed one after another like a bottomless pit. However, some time ago, a guru in the industry discovered it long ago, but the gaming department did not take it seriously and did not admit that there were bugs. Now that the matter has been exposed, the game is full of cheats. Lu Yuanxi was also a little disappointed. For most people, gaming and youth were inseparable. If this game was stopped, which game in the future could guarantee that it would be as good as Maps of the Gods? The gaming department did not do anything. The game skins appear every day, and no one cares about the bugs. Chu Zhixing was also unusually irritable. Bei Yunj did not say anything. She just picked up her iPad. Then, the boys in the row behind also came over and said, however, the gaming department is also taking this matter seriously now. They spent a lot of money to hire technicians to fix it. Why didn't this matter be posted? Ordinary people can't fix it. The higher-ups are watching the technicians and thinking of ways to poach them to fix it. Hearing this, Bei Yunj's fingers stopped moving. She quickly continued with her work. If I find out who can fix it, I will tie him up and fix it. Lu Yuanxi was especially domineering. Bei Yunj glanced at him expressionlessly. This glance made Lu Yuanxi feel an inexplicable chill. Deskmate, are you in a bad mood? Lu Yuanxi lowered his voice. No. Lu Yuanxi. Then why did you look like you wanted to fight with me just now? Grade 12 Class 1. A tall girl with cold eyes stood at the door. Leia, why are you looking for me? Cheng Zihuai asked as soon as he came out. Rhea quickly smiled. Do you have time to take a walk downstairs with me? Hearing this, Cheng Zihuai glanced at Leia and did not refuse. Downstairs, by the flower bed. I haven't seen you in a few years. You've grown a lot taller. Cheng Zihuai was also very gentle. I thought that you didn't recognize me. Yes, it's so good that I can't recognize it. Cheng Zihuai smiled and said, you must be looking for me for something, right? Yes, there's something I need your help with. I don't know if it's possible. Leia suppressed the joy in her heart and blushed unnaturally. As for the people watching from afar, they didn't know who to envy. Goddess Lei was famous for being cold and aloof in the esports scene. Who would have thought that she would be so shy? However, everyone saw how outstanding Cheng Zihuai was. What a perfect match. Tell me, what is it? Of course, I will help you if I can. Hearing Cheng Zihuai's words, Leia could not help but smile and look up at him. My stepfather is the person in charge of the game branch of Maps of the Gods. About the bug this time. You should have heard about it. So, I want to ask you for a favor. Chapter 293. But I don't have this technology either. Cheng Zihuai froze for a moment. He did not expect Leia to do this. Zihuai, I know you're at the Computing Institute. Can you help me ask who's willing to help? If this matter gets any worse, our family will be in trouble. With that said, Leia bit her lip. Hearing this, Cheng Zihuai knew why Leia was looking for him. As an intern, he did have the chance to come into contact with official members, but for them to give him face,
this was a little difficult. I can help you ask, but they probably won't be willing to get involved in such matters. Cheng Zihuai's eyes were filled with helplessness. I understand. Thank you, Zihuai. Hearing this, Leia heaved a sigh of relief and smiled. At noon, Leia returned to class in a good mood and saw more than 10 letters on the table. Hiding the impatience in her eyes, she stuffed the things into the drawer casually. That must be Leia, right? She's so elegant. Of course. The #1 beauty in the God Circle. Don't you think she's pretty? The boy giggled. God Circle was the abbreviation for the maps of the Gods Gaming Circle. She's just a... Anyway, it's not like I haven't seen that person from Class 7 before, the girl pouted and said sourly. Hearing this, Leia froze. Class 7. Coincidentally, she also knew that there was someone in Class 7. Leia hid the darkness in her eyes and put on her earphones, not thinking about this anymore. That person in Class 7 is a goddess, but only a goddess, the boy said with a sigh. If that person had the ability to be slightly beautiful, she would be someone that people could not take their eyes off. Unfortunately, the heavens were fair. There were gains and losses. This was a principle that would never change. After school. After Leia told Madame Lei that Cheng Zihuai had agreed, Madame Lei happily called Mr. Lei and received his approval. Yaya, did you meet Bei Yunj today? Mrs. Lei asked. Lei Ya's expression darkened and she closed her eyes, annoyed to hear this name. I didn't notice. Qin Youjiao had the ability to compete with her, but what did Bei Yunj have to compare to her? So what if she had the Qin family behind her? The Lei family's development was not much worse than the Qin family. I heard that her results are not good and she even signed up for a physics competition. Yaya, why don't you go and sign up for one too? Madame Lei's smile deepened. I remember that our Yaya won 2nd place in the International Physics Raphael competition. Whatever. Leia did not mind. She was just taking part in another competition. She had never lost in a physics competition since she was young. That's good. I'll tell the grade director now. At the Computing Institute, Si Chengyan had some impression of Cheng Zihuai. His talent was not bad, but he could barely do research. You want me to help you fix S? Have tea time. Si Chengyan touched the back of his head and yawned lazily. Only the two of us are good at covering a wide area. They should know how to fix this thing. Moreover, there was one more that they didn't have. Who? Cheng Zihuai's eyes moved. One is our omnipotent inspector, and the other. Si Chengyan paused. Yes. Cheng Zihuai asked instinctively, but his hands were clenched tightly. Hearing this, Si Chengyan was also very surprised that Cheng Zihuai knew this name. But he had to know who this person was. Chapter 294. She was probably going crazy. Si Chengyan thought to himself. Yes, but she's not ours for the time being. Si Chengyan smiled. He was just short of saying, but we're about to get her. If you want someone to help, the inspector won't do. He hates things like gaming competitions the most. As for... Si Chengyan braced himself and said, there's a slight possibility, but there's not much hope. With Bei Yunj's temper, she didn't even like the Delaney Corporation, let alone a gaming company. Then can you give me a way to contact her? Cheng Zihuai hid the dark glint in his eyes. I don't dare to provoke that ancestor. Si Chengyan spread out his hands in surrender. That's also our treasure. If you want to try, I can bring you a message. When Cheng Zihuai heard this, he did not expect that the Computing Institute would be so secretive about their work. It was obvious how much the Computing Institute treasured this person. Okay, sorry to trouble you, Professor C. Class 7. Look at the headlines. It's all over the place. The boy took out his cell phone and a few people around him jumped over to take a look. Hashtag Maps of the Gods Disappointment Hashtag Maps of the Gods Bug Cheat Hashtag Esports Winter Hashtag A good game is getting worse and worse. Someone couldn't help but despise. The branch just issued a statement saying that they've asked the headquarters for help. Haha, back then they said that it was just a slight bug. Now, the game has been stopped for half a month and even the competition has been delayed. My cousin is still a professional player. I don't know what to do now. At this point, many people looked at Bei Yunj, who was sleeping on the table. Master Pei is so magnanimous. She's not worried about her third brother at all. Someone sighed. What's there to worry about? Worried that he'll retire early and go home to inherit billions of assets? Everyone was speechless. Sorry to disturb this damn rich person. Suddenly. Master Pei, Brother Lu is calling for you. The court is short of manpower. The boy leaned against the door and shouted softly. I'm not going. Bei Yunj lazily propped her head up and yawned. Her eyes were red, but she was much more amiable than usual. Brother Lu said that if you win, Master Pei, this week's homework will be his. As soon as he finished speaking, the originally tired person suddenly stood up. Master Pei, you? The boy was shocked. It just so happens that I haven't done my homework today. Bei Yunj's gaze was languid. Her high-spirited eyebrows seemed to be glowing, making it hard for people to look away. She smiled. He had an unbridled youthful aura. Walking on the long corridor, Leia heard the boys talking excitedly. Let's go and watch the school belle play basketball. The campus belle knows how to play basketball? Let's not talk about it anymore. The school team from Class 1 just collapsed. It's Brother Lu's turn to fight with the school belle. Hearing these discussions, Leia's eyes flickered, and she subconsciously walked toward the field. Qin Youjiao was back so soon? She knows how to play? The sun was high in the sky. The green shadows on the sports field were mottled. The sunlight was just right, but the bright and beautiful one was a youth like the wind. Bei Yunj, are you that good at basketball? A thin layer of sweat appeared on Lu Yuanxi's forehead. He had a vague feeling that he was going to inherit his deskmate's homework today. Before today, he would never have thought that his deskmate, who looked as pretty as a porcelain doll, could actually play basketball. I learned a little from a friend. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows and chuckled. There's still one more round. Student Lu, do you want to continue? At this moment, Leia, who had just walked to the basketball court, could not help but stiffen when she saw Bei Yunj's face clearly. Her legs seemed to be filled with lead and she could not move. P.S. Be good and remember your monthly votes. Chapter 295. It wasn't Qin Youjiao? An inexplicable emotion suddenly surged in Leia's heart and she asked casually, what's the name of that girl playing basketball? As she spoke, Leia stared fixedly at the person on the basketball court. Bei Yunj from Year 2 Class 7. Isn't she beautiful? A young boy smiled and scratched his head shyly. Senior Pei is very famous in our district's high school. Because she's good-looking, people from other schools often come to take a look secretly. Leia stared fixedly at Bei Yunj, her gaze turning colder. She had never thought that Bei Yunj would look like this. She did not look like the cowardly and brainless person in the rumors at all. Senior, you're Lei. Yeah, right? The boy's eyes widened. He had just recognized her when Leia turned around and left. On the way, she bumped into Cheng Zihuai. I heard that Bei Yunj used to pester you? Leia could not help asking when she saw Cheng Zihuai. In the past, she only treated it as a joke. After all, Cheng Zihuai would not be pestered by ordinary girls. But now, hearing this, Cheng Zihuai frowned and his voice turned cold. Why are you mentioning her? After that, Leia had yet to think of what to say. She had just seen Bei Yunj when she heard him say, it's impossible for me to like that kind of self-righteous, ignorant and incompetent woman. Ignorant and incompetent? Leia's eyes flickered and she said slowly, she looks not bad. Apart from that face, how is she not bad? Cheng Zihuai's tone was mocking, but he quickly changed the topic. I've asked the Computing Institute for you. Only 2 members can help. Professor C, who I know, is currently in contact. Really? Thank you, Zihuai. Leia's eyebrows relaxed and she smiled. Now that the Lei family was a nouveau riche, they had the momentum to be on par with the Qin family. However, if this matter was not handled well, it would be serious. I hope she can help. Cheng Zihuai smiled and caressed her head. After school. Before Leia left school, she received a call from Mrs. Lei. Mom, what's wrong? Leia could not live stream during this period of time and her eyes were filled with coldness and irritation. Yaya, something happened at your father's company again. I have a favor to ask of you. Leia stopped in her tracks. How? The maps of the gods have been in the headlines for a long time. Yaya, I heard from the dean that Bei Yunj ranked last in the monthly test. I suggested to your father that we use Bei Yunj and Qin Youjiao's monthly exam as a gimmick to block the hot searches for us.
He agreed. Hearing Mrs. Lei's words, Leia frowned unhappily.
Can't you just find an artist to release the material?
Leia would never do such a thing.
That won't do. He's so secretive about the current celebrities. Where would your father find the time to dig them out? If the headquarters were to find out that your father's branch is in such a mess, he would definitely be finished.
Madame Lei pleaded anxiously. Yaya, please help your father with this.
Hearing that, Leia pursed her lips and looked at the results list not far away. Frustration rose in her heart. She didn't want to get involved in this mess. I know. But, are you sure you can really suppress it? Last month, the Qin family's trending topic was almost the same as the current A-list celebrities. The matter of the Qin family's real and fake young lady has always been a hot topic.
Hearing Mrs. Lei say this, Leia pursed her lips and had no choice but to walk towards the results list.
Chapter 296. Leia waited until there were fewer people in school before she quickly took a few photos of Qin Youjiao and Bei Yunj's results and rankings. However, unfortunately, Chu Zhixing happened to see Leia acting suspiciously. He did not know what she was doing. Chu Zhixing walked in front of the grade list and thought for a moment. However, he did not expect this matter to involve Bei Yunj. After all, Chu Zhixing did not know about the relationship between Bei Yunj and Leia. Bei Yunj, who had just returned home, glanced at the headlines out of nowhere. The top 3 rankings were all trending topics related to the maps of the gods. She clicked on them and saw that they were all analysis posts about the improper management of the game branch. Bei Yunj looked at it for a few minutes before she turned off her phone and threw it on the bed casually before she went to take a shower. When she was done showering, drying her hair, and coming out to drink water with her phone, she saw several messages. One was from Si Chengyan. The other was from an unknown number. The other 2 were from Chu Zhixing. Bei Yunj clicked on the message sent by Chu Zhixing first. Picture. Master Pei, you're in the headlines again. By the way, Master Pei, I saw what Leia took in front of the grade list today. Do you know her? Could she have done this? Bei Yunj clicked on the screenshot sent by Chu Zhixing. The headlines about the game branch she had seen before had all been taken down. Instead, it was her and Qin Youjiao's monthly exam results. The parent-teacher conference had already passed and this had only happened now. Someone was indeed using her to take the bullet. After Bei Yunj replied to Chu Zhixing, she walked to the computer and checked a few marketing accounts that had taken the lead in exposing the news. Coincidentally, these were all accounts supported by Lei's corporation. Seeing this, Bei Yunj chuckled slowly. Her eyes were bright and lazy, exuding coldness. How dare they? They even dared to use her as a shield. A moment later, Bei Yunj locked onto those marketing accounts and lazily started to organize the evidence of the artistes that the Lei Corporation had used to take the bullet. 20 minutes later, Bei Yunj uploaded a screenshot of the evidence using the marketing account that had used her as a shield. As expected. A few minutes later, the Lei conglomerate and maps of the gods' negative comments jumped to the top. He quickly suppressed Bei Yunj's entry. The number of posts posted was even more than Bei Yunj's post. It was a spectacular and exciting scene for fans of more than 10 popular artists to tear Lei's apart. Lei Corporation, a question every day. Is CEO Lei doing something wrong today? Cute. You're amazing. You're even releasing fake information about your artists when something happened to the game branch? I hope that Lei's group will go bankrupt as soon as possible. F***CK. It's scary when I think about it. Could it be that the headlines in Bei Yunj just now were also, Qin Yu crushed Qin Lang Qin Corporation, come and fight? Not long after, the Qin group reposted a post from a netizen. Qin group. #wishlist of the month #kiss. Little Qin has received your wishlist. Little Qin will work hard. Did Lei's go bankrupt today? Did Lei's go bankrupt today? No smile. Soon, the Qin group also made the headlines. Ha 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 ha, Qin group, give the editor an extra drumstick. This is too good. F***CK, F***CK, is the Qin group so cute and rich? Fulfilling 10 wishes for fans every month? I love it. Previously, someone even compared the Qin group to the Lei Corporation. Is the Lei Corporation worthy of Father Qin? Chapter 297. The Lei Corporation and the Qin Corporation seem to be related. It said that Madame Lei and Madame Qin are biological sisters. This is even more disgusting. She even used her niece to block the bullet. I'm vomiting. Father Qin, charge. There's only half a year left on the Lei Corporation's contract. Get the rights to operate the game branch. The farce online had yet to end. Bei Yunj also saw that the Lei Corporation and the maps of the gods had made the headlines again. She turned off her computer and remembered that she had not read the messages from two people. However, Bei Yunj did not expect that when she turned on her phone, she would see two people asking her if she wanted to help fix the bug in the maps of the gods. One was Si Chengyan, and the other was the founder of the Maps of the Gods gaming company. She narrowed her eyes and replied unhurriedly. Our nation. What's going on? Why did she reject me? I haven't discussed the remuneration with her yet. The little cousin was extremely anxious. Isn't it reasonable for you to be rejected? Delaney said leisurely as he sat in front of his desk. The little cousin. She's already giving you face by not messing with you, brother, Delaney said faintly. Why? The little cousin was puzzled. He had not offended this Miss Pei. Your gaming branch used Miss Pei to block the bullet in order to block the trending headlines yesterday. The handsome man's face was about to contort. He was so angry that his face turned black. He wished he could go to Country A and strangle the person in charge of the branch. He was licking his face and begging outside. Did this dog know what he was doing? Were they sent by the other party? Miss Pei. Is that why you're angry? The little cousin did not dare to face that big boss. Not many people who engaged in scientific research had a normal temper. Miss Pei seems to have dug out the dirt on the person in charge of your branch and sent it to the headlines. The little cousin shuddered. So ruthless. If you want her help, you have to solve the problem of your branch. However, even if you solve it, Miss Pei might not help you, Delaney told the truth. He was even more envious of his son now. At least Bei Yunj had some patience with his students. To them, there was only endless oppression and indifference. But this problem still has to be solved. Back then, when I heard the Lei family's nonsense, I really thought they would do it. I didn't expect them to only know how to make money. He took a deep breath, his expression extremely ugly. If he didn't change the Lei Corporation this time, it would be a waste of his hair that he had been working so hard for the past few days. Perhaps, you can try the Qin family. Delaney suddenly said faintly. Why? Miss Pei is the eldest daughter of the Qin family. Delaney smiled at him. Little cousin. What a cunning old fox. Lei family. Lei Guofeng's expression turned ugly. He slammed the table and sneered. You guys are really something. I told you guys to leak other people's information, but you guys even leaked your own information. President Lei, it really wasn't done by our internal staff. Yeah, Xiaojia called me yesterday and said that he couldn't log into the account. In the end, after about 10 minutes, that account was manipulated and started to leak information about us. Who would have thought that after doing this for so many years, the boat would fail today? So someone is deliberately going against us? Lei Guofeng's expression was terrible. Yes, President Lei. Could this be done by the Qin family? Chapter 298. As soon as he finished speaking, there was silence. Due to the impact of this matter, their company's operations were already facing some problems. Furthermore, the one opposing them now was most likely the Qin family. The Lei family was new. Although they looked impressive on the surface, the Qin family had a background that the Lei family could not compare to. Lei Guofeng's face darkened. After the meeting ended, he called Qin Luyen. President Qin, could it be that you did this online? Lei Guofeng thought that he was an elder and immediately questioned him. His attitude was extremely bad. So, President Lei admits that you used my sister to block the bullet? There was no fluctuation in Qin Luyen's tone. His eyes were as gentle as ink, but at this moment, there was a coldness that made one's heart tremble. Lei Guofeng was a little speechless. Then he shirked responsibility. This was done by the subordinates. I didn't know either. But President Qin, aren't you going overboard by doing this? If such news were to be exposed, it would take half of the Lei family's life. Is that so? Qin Luyen's lips curved, but his eyes were cold. If the headquarters finds out about this, Will they let me off? Lu Yan, don't be too ruthless. Uncle, I recorded what you said just now. This will be used as evidence and go through legal procedures. Qin Luyan's words made Lei Guofeng freeze. He did not expect this young man to have such methods. Lu Yan, I'm your uncle. So what? Qin Luyan's tone was filled with mockery as he sneered. Qin Luyan curled his thin lips and said in a playful and cold tone, Since President Lei can't do this game well, perhaps I can do it for you. Qin Luyan, even if the headquarters change people, they won't choose your Qin family. When Lei Guofeng heard that Qin Luyan was planning to make a move, he panicked. In the past few years, he knew best how much profit he had taken from the maps of the gods. If the management rights of the maps of the gods were not in his hands, the Lei family might have a harder time than before. How would you know if you don't try? Qin Luyan's eyes were filled with mockery. Before Lei Guofeng could say anything, he hung up. A few minutes later, Lei Guofeng really saw his own voice message and the Qin Corporation's public lawyer's letter online. His face was ashen and his pupils constricted. How could this be? The matter of the maps of the gods had yet to be resolved, and now the Qin family was interfering? Class 7. Master Pei, someone is looking for you outside. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows and walked out. Bei Yunj, did you ask your brother to do it? Lei Ya's usually cold and arrogant eyes were filled with resentment. Her eyes were red, and she looked like she could not hold it in. Bei Yunj did not intend to answer her question. Instead, she sneered and looked straight at her with a pair of bright and charming eyes. You're the one who spread my results, right? Leia froze. So, does the Lei family have the right to question me? Bei Yunj's words made Lei Ya's face turn red and white. She clenched her fists and gritted her teeth. So what? Are those results of yours shameful? You don't have to worry about this matter, Lei Tongxue. Student Lei, if you're free, you should see when the Lei family will be finished. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows, full of laziness and playfulness. This made Leia grit her teeth. Leia clenched her fists and looked at Bei Yunj's back view. In the end she ran out. That's impossible. As long as the bug could be fixed, the headquarters would not really deal with them. Chapter 299. Leia bumped into Cheng Zihuai on the way. Zihuai. Leia looked at Cheng Zihuai hopefully. Did everyone at the computing company agree? It can be any amount. Did you tell them? Leia, I'm sorry. There are indeed 2 people in the computing company who can do it. One is Elder Zhong, and the other is someone I've interacted with before. Cheng Zihuai said in a low voice, but she's not willing. Hearing this, Leia held Cheng Zihuai's hand. Zihuai, tell me, who is that person? I'll go find her. Although Lei Guofeng was her stepfather, he treated her very well and almost treated her as his biological daughter. Therefore, Leia did not want anything to happen to the Lei family. She is, but you won't be able to find her. The computing company values her very much and keeps her a secret. Cheng Zihuai looked helpless. She even took on a 10 billion yuan project some time ago. Do you think you can persuade such a person? Is there really no chance at all? Leia felt cold all over. If that was the case, her status in the socialite circle would plummet. I'm sorry, that person didn't agree. Cheng Zihuai sighed. At the hospital, Bei Yunj was peeling an apple slowly when she glanced at old Master Qin on the bed. Grandpa, who are you calling? She had heard old Master Qin asking people if they knew anyone who was good at computing the whole morning. I'm calling my friend from before. Old Master Qin's face darkened. It's all because of your third brother. Because of the delay of the competition, he's completely dispirited and useless. I want to find someone to help fix that bug. Bei Yunj's eyes darkened and she slowed down her peeling of the apple. However, seeing Bei Yunj peel the apple without looking at it, old Master Qin was so scared that he almost had a heart attack. Io, little ancestor, put it down. I already said that you don't need to peel it. What if you hurt your hand? Didn't you not want him to play games? Bei Yunj asked deliberately. Was this granddaughter here to slap him in the face all day long? Old Master Qin's face was cold. Of course. Look at your third brother. He doesn't pay attention to his health when he's playing games. Day and night are reversed every day. Do you think I'll agree to that?
But for this competition, he's completely dispirited. As his grandfather, how can I stand it? Don't bother looking for it. It's time for a nap, Grandpa.
Bei Yunj handed it to Old Master Qin.
Eat and sleep.
Old Master Qin. He was being taken care of by his granddaughter like a child.
Maybe they can solve it themselves in the next 2 days, Bei Yunj said casually. Grandpa doesn't want to give them a chance to redeem themselves. Last time, Old Master Qin had also received a call from Madame Lei, scolding Qin Luyan for his evil deeds. However, when Old Master Qin found out about this, it was because Madame Lei had used Bei Yunj as a shield. It was as if a barrel of explosives had been detonated. Madame Lei was so angry that she could not say a word and hung up the phone. Bei Yunj's lips curved, but there was no smile in her eyes.
Indeed, I shouldn't have given it to you.
At night, Bei Yunj had just turned on her phone when she saw a few sincere greetings from the founder of the game company. Miss Pei, did you have a good meal today? I'm apologizing to you for what the branch did. Currently, I'm preparing to terminate the contract with the Lei Corporation. I hope to receive Miss Pei's forgiveness. Miss Pei, as long as you're willing to help, the remuneration is definitely sincere. Just mention it. Chapter 300. Bei Yunj raised her eyebrows and glanced at it casually. She seemed to have thought of something and her fingers moved slightly. Okay. Send the information over. At this moment, the person who had not woken up saw Bei Yunj's reply on his phone and woke up. She agreed. She finally agreed.
Then, the man reacted and hurriedly got out of bed.
After changing his clothes, he went straight to the company to get the information. It was as if he was afraid that Bei Yunj would go back on her word. So, that night in Country A, the official account of the Maps of the Gods headquarters posted a status. E.G. Group, Maps of the Gods headquarters. Thank you everyone for your love and concern for the Maps of the Gods. The Maps of the Gods represents the youth and passion of countless people. It will continue to be passed down to every generation. The headquarters is deeply sorry for this mistake and will deal with all the mistakes as soon as possible. We have also asked Miss for help. Heart. When this message was released, many people who were waiting for the follow-up exploded. Ah, it's the headquarters daddy. The headquarters daddy knows. Deal with all the mistakes. Ha 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 ha, please explain. Does it include the Lei family? Doghead. I'm so ignorant. I know this problem. She's a new member of the Institute of Computational Technology in Country R. Everyone may not be familiar with this name, but everyone must know about the 10 billion research project. The most expensive woman in the scientific research field has appeared. Doghead. Damn. So it's her. As expected of the headquarters daddy, she's too rich. However, because this name was unfamiliar to everyone, there were also people who doubted it. Let me ask weakly, can you really solve this problem? I heard that the branch has also found more than 100 technical staff in this area. Brothers, don't worry. She can do it. Awesome. I don't want to popularize it, but if you're worried, you can go to the literature website to look her up. After this person appeared, my thesis became much easier to write. In the month since she appeared, there have been more than 40 high-quality theses. Our dean brings the teachers to meetings every day to discuss it. Who doesn't say that she's a god? Doghead. She's here to fix bugs for you? I'm jealous. Isn't this asking a god to pluck carrots for you? It's too much of a waste of talent. But to be able to invite him, the headquarters is also very impressive. So, I'll be able to play Lord God in a few days, right? Rubbing hands nervously. The rapid change in public opinion was beyond everyone's expectations. Leia was stunned when she saw the message. Didn't Zihui say that she didn't agree to his request? Then, why would he be invited by the headquarters? Leia's eyes dimmed as she clenched her fists. At night, Bei Yunj, who was sitting in front of the computer, unwrapped a lollipop and slowly crushed it. She had just finished reading all the information about Maps of the Gods and checked the game. There were indeed many bugs. But it seemed to have been deliberately damaged. Bei Yunj didn't think too much about it. She started to fix the flaws in the game and installed 2 more modes into the system. An hour later, she finished the tedious process. It was done. Bei Yunj sent it to the game company's founder. It's fixed. I also modified the safe mode and positioning mode for you guys. You can track the intruder. Those who received the news froze. So fast. What so fast? Delaney asked. His cousin looked up at him, still in disbelief. She fixed it in an hour. P.S. Be good and remember the monthly votes. Chapter 301. Delaney was silent for a while before she suddenly sneered and cut the steak on the plate angrily. Isn't it fast? Last time, I spent 1 billion yuan on a project. My son said that his teacher spent a month and only finished half of it. This vampire. Brother, don't say that in front of Miss Pei. After the little cousin finished speaking, he called Bei Yunj. At this moment, as soon as the call went through, Delaney's tone was nasty. What's wrong with talking about her? The patent is sold by the year and it's so expensive. Aren't you afraid of being punished by the heavens? At the same time, the little cousin froze. Before he could stop him, he heard a voice on the phone. Is it Delaney? Her voice was lazy and there was a faint smile on her face. The little cousin did not dare to speak and only silently put the phone on speaker. Is she doing a good job in her project? She is. After that, Delaney, who was still spouting nonsense, was interrupted by a familiar voice. He's scolding me behind my back, right? The moment Bei Yunj's voice was heard, Delaney froze. Her twisted and ferocious expression seemed to be frozen. Brother, don't move. Before the little cousin could finish speaking, Delaney snatched the phone away fiercely. Don't you know how well you did your project? Do you still want me to make it clear? Delaney suddenly whispered. Of course it's expensive if it's done well. It's only right. The little cousin was speechless. This was the first time he saw someone use the most arrogant tone to say the most cowardly words. The other end of the phone was silent for a while. Vic, other than the bug, I've also set up a new area for the high-end challenge mode you mentioned last time. After Bei Yunj finished speaking, she smiled lazily. Otherwise, it would be embarrassing to take so much money from you for fixing a bug. Delaney. Vic was speechless. She was actually embarrassed? However, after the call ended, Vic returned to the company to check the game system and Bei Yunj's new mainland module. He felt that the money was worth it. The big boss was indeed the big boss. Even the game design was shocking. Although it was only a model, it could be released very quickly. However, not long after Vic marveled at Bei Yunj's handiwork, problems quickly arose. Boss, we can't pass this high-end challenge. I've been challenging for the entire afternoon. What's going on? Soon, Vic called Bei Yunj again and told her about it. Can't pass the challenge? That's impossible. My record is still on the scoreboard. It's not difficult. With that, Bei Yunj hung up the phone. When Wake heard this, he really went to check the rankings. High-level challenges were very difficult, so the experience, credit points, and equipment were the highest. Thus, Vic saw the first place, get all the points and equipment. As for the staff members under him, they all got single-digit points. Vic. Who would believe her? The next day. E.G. Corporation, Maps of the Gods headquarters. Sorry for the wait. Maps of the Gods is officially open for business. Thank you, miss, for taking the time to help Maps of the Gods get through this difficult time. At 8 o'clock in the morning, the Maps of the Gods made the headlines again. However, the headline this time was, #Maps of the Gods. The comment section was filled with enthusiasm. Oh, how long has it been since the official announcement? It's already fixed the next day? Ha 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 ha, am I the only one who noticed the busy time? It seems very simple, doghead. You're tuning in to the Xiaofan's Wuxia Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.